Right, so we are live. Right, hello everybody, welcome to Newcastle Fans TV. I'm joined by some guests of mine. Hello lads.
Hello.
Hello. We're just going to do a quick intro, and obviously we've got a lot of talk to get through regarding Newcastle United. Since we've done the last podcast, wasn't it, Forde? So good 6 weeks or so, isn't it?
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
Expect some giggles, because no doubt I'll take the mick out with his accent. We're going to just quickly run you through a couple of intros and so on.
Why not do
As
it
YouTube
yourself?
plays in the background, let's knock that off.
You can create your own professional website.
This is where editing
Choose from
comes in.
hundreds of
Oh,
design
come
makers.
on. There we go. Sorry about that. So, we're just going to run you through, obviously, the intros and so on. So, obviously, for people who are on the channel, you know who I am. Don't need too much introduction. I've been doing YouTube for about, it's coming up to a year in the summer. Rebranded it, and obviously I love Newcastle through and through. As you can tell, we're hosting it at my place. Sharkey? Hello, hold the mic. Not too close, don't shout.
Right, well, I'm James. I work at Greg's retail. If you want a discount, I'm here, 50%.
Cheese pasties.
Cheese pasties, steak bakes, anything, pies, donuts, sarnies.
We'll talk once we're finished.
Yeah.
Once we're finished.
Oh, if you want some Greg's, message him.
So yeah, I've been there about 3.5 years. Passionate Newcastle fan, love the club through and through. You know, you're too fan till you die. Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, alright lads, this is a Geordie Jedi, yeah? I've never understood why you take the piss out of us for that. Sounds perfectly normal. Alright. Remember I've talked with the tune with two others as well who hopefully we're getting back soon. I think the lads are doing the podcast more or less about now, as it happens. Obviously love the tune. Been doing this nearly 3 years. I've been doing YouTube.
What's your channel?
Geordie Jedi.
And what do you do on it?
Masturbate mostly.
No wonder he gets no subscribers.
Bloody hell.
Star Wars comes to mind.
Well, that's what I masturbate over mainly.
Yeah, so
No,
move on.
mainly gaming stuff like recently Resident Evil, FIFA, etc. So a good variety of things on my channel. Enjoy.
Yeah, so I'm 40. I keep my stuff clean. I don't talk about any sort of masturbation or anything like that. I talk about
I was told it was natural.
Yeah, okay. I'll talk about Newcastle United. As you can tell, when Lee Lawler takes the piss out of my accent, I'm not from Newcastle, but I still love them nonetheless. I've been doing YouTube nearly a year now. It's coming up to my year anniversary, so yeah. And I also it's been tough, man. Just it is, but it's been enjoyable, and obviously started off for the right reasons, and you know now I just can't get enough of it now. So yeah, it's very enjoyable, and hopefully I'll continue to do it for as long as you are, basically. So should we get into it then?
Yeah, let's get on to it.
Yeah.
I can see your comments on your screen as well. I do have a laptop next to me, so I've just seen Joe, your comment about the camera, so hopefully that has proved the vision of the camera. Right, okay then, so we're going to start back to, where was it? Was it December time, wasn't it? It was just after the Shelby had been banned for 5 games, and we're coming up against Sheffield Wednesday, which was a difficult game, even beforehand. We went down 1-0. Now, casting my mind back to this, Newcastle, from the top of my head, had an awful, played shocking, and Sheffield Wednesday pretty much predominantly dominated the game, I would say, and made us look, I would probably say, average, to be all honest. Would you agree with that?
I thought Sheffield had more of the game, to be honest, and I thought Sheffield weren't looking at a score more than one. I thought even if they won 2 or 3-0, I wouldn't have complained.
Aye. Anthony, I'll let you hold the mic.
I got somewhat unlucky. I think Rafa Benitez said we'd had about 3 actual chances all game or something like that compared to Sheffield Wednesday. It was Shelby's first game ban, which really didn't help.
We missed him, didn't we?
And then Forestieri, it was his game back after our red card against Burton Albion a few matches before. So unfortunately they got pretty much their best player back, and we lost at least one of our best players.
Definitely our best player. Fortunately, I wasn't at the game, but as you said, man, we lost our best player. We just looked lost. You know, it just goes to show how much goes through Shelby. You know, it's quite worrying at times, because I'm surprised other teams haven't picked up on it yet. You know, marked him at the game, that's about at least 70 or 80% of us done.
You can tell Sheffield Wednesday are going to be there.
They're there or thereabouts.
Season,
you were saying earlier that you recommend that they might go up this season with us as well.
Yeah, my bet in the playoffs to go up.
Yeah, same with me.
And you can see why. I mean, they strengthened in the January transfer window as well. Brought in Jordan Rhodes, so they're definitely going for a helpful level, and they'll be there or thereabouts for sure.
And I thought Carlos Carvajal, the manager of Sheffield Wednesday, I thought he was tactically spot on.
Yeah, you got a spot on. I mean, we can take a defeat. No, we don't like a defeat, but the manner of the defeat was awful. But against the team against the top six, well, fair enough. Forde, you've got a shout out here from Connor Headley. Says, "Happy anniversary, Forde. Love your channel." So you're getting some love. I'm not going to go through all the comments, but at the end of the video, if you want to fire some questions at us, of course, just jump on the bandwagon. So we suffered defeat. I think it was literally a few days later. At the top of my head, we're playing Forest. It was hyped up as the Henry Lansbury one, but we knew, but he was injured.
He was injured.
He was injured and somehow got to move to Aston Villa. And obviously, no Lansbury, no Shelby. It kind of like put the fire out, didn't it, a little bit? But we're still seeking revenge because we talked about Steve Martin on the last podcast, didn't we? He was awful. Cost us 3 points in that game. It was a much more improved display. I think, am I right in saying Gale got a double off the top of your head? I can't remember that far back. I'm sure he did. Much more dominant. You can tell why it was obviously the defeat of Sheffield Wednesday must have got in the dressing room and said, right, how are lads, sorted out. We got the win. We got the 3-1 win. It was pretty comfortable, I would have to say, in the afternoon. I remember being there. It was pretty easy. Would you go along the lines with that, Sharky?
Sorry, which game?
The Forest one where we won 3-1?
Yeah, I mean, we just literally had to grind it out because obviously we'd just lost against Sheffield Wednesday. We couldn't afford to lose another game. And, against Nottingham Forest, like I say, away, I think we're harshly done by. Would you all agree?
Yeah.
A referee, but it shouldn't have come down to that, maybe.
Yeah.
But I still feel that, we had to win just to see out the new year, you know what I mean? We had to get a win at home. It doesn't matter.
I'm going to put something to you as well. In the Forest game, obviously, I didn't get to that one. But I'm coming for you. I was in Iceland. Yeah, check out my video. Iceland. But
what were you doing in Iceland?
Swimming mostly.
I was enjoying myself.
Were you there for business or pleasure?
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure. Yeah. But anyway, let me get back to the point. So it was 1-1 at the time. They had a man sent off, and from what I heard, that changed the game. So as much as we say he was dominant, I heard that it was a red card decision.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, one of them.
Minutes,
exactly, and that changed the game. So
good shout, good memory.
So Nottingham Forest, not an easy team to play against. 3 red card decisions that changed both games really. It'd be interesting to play them again.
I think even with 11 men, you would expect Newcastle to go on and win that game, wouldn't you?
I don't know.
It's not at home.
I don't know, man. Come on. Look how many games we lost at home already.
Yeah, I mean, some of the teams that that we've lost to are the teams that we should really have been getting the points against.
And even in the games that we have won this season,
we've been a bit.
I'm reading the comments.
Oh right, I was thinking, what are you doing? Even in some of the games that we have won or drawn, we've not been convincing. So
not recently.
Yeah.
No.
So Nottingham Forest to say we roll over Nottingham Forest.
Not take my chances, really.
Yeah.
That's what it all goes down to, really. Not
taking
chances.
Yeah. Well, speaking of obviously towards the end of the year, we obviously played Blackburn towards in the new year. You get that game, Forde?
I was.
Yeah.
Martin return.
That was pretty frustrating.
Pretty frustrating.
That was possibly. I mean, we dominated the game up until 75th minute, where remember Gallagher had a shot just went wide, and then they scored through
Charlie
Mulgrew, called back, nudging his man over. I think it was Emnes.
Yeah.
Where 2 goals rightly disallowed, I have to say, for offside. But
the only team to do the double over us as well this season.
That's shocking, isn't it?
And it was Charlie Mulgrew. I was at the Blackburn game at home as well, and it was the same player around about the same time that scored to make a 1-0 Blackburn. So it was Charlie Mulgrew twice.
That free kick was interesting.
Why?
It was low driven, bottom left hand corner. It went past the wall rather than around the wall.
Do you think that's the wall's the problem, or was that because Jack Colback?
No, not really.
Jack Colback got crucified on Twitter, didn't he?
Yeah.
So did Darla though. Someone said that. Well, people did say that Darla could have got to that.
If bit of genius, because you obviously seen the wall and he's thought, right, they're obviously going to jump anyway. So what I'll do is I'll put it under the wall, and obviously they're going to jump. So obviously they make you hit it. he's hoping that Darlow's not going to move, and obviously Darlow hasn't, and it's obviously went around the corner, didn't it? And obviously you look how close it was to the box as well. It's hard for the keeper to react. You just got to hope that he dives and to see if he's punched.
So who do you blame for that? Because I thought, me personally, I felt blaming Jack Colback was a little harsh for one man, considering we had so much possession. Without Shelvey, this is the first time we had dominated the game without Shelvey, possession-wise, and the strikers and the midfield didn't do the job.
Well, can I be honest with you? I did criticise Jack Colback, but then when I look back at the game, we had so many chances to actually see out the game. To be honest with you, if half time we should have been 3 or 4. And that's not no disrespect to Blackburn. That they're at the bottom for a reason. And I think, to be honest with you, that's our own fault.
Yeah.
It's our own fault.
Just blame the whole team. I mean, we win as a team, we lose as a team.
That's it. Yeah.
So as much as you want to single out one person, and Jack Colback has taken his criticism this season, you've got to blame the whole team, because we could have taken the chances. Obviously, Jack Colback didn't want to give away the free kick, but he did. So you have to blame the whole team.
Yeah.
No circumstances there. So
I mean, looking at the stats as well, didn't we have something like 25 shots at the off the goal or something like 12 on target, and Blackburn had 1 and 1 each, and that was the goal that they scored. So obviously, talking about being clinical, take any chances.
It was, I guess, a question, because obviously we'll come up towards the transfer window, which will come out to transfers. A lot of people are now saying, "Oh, we need this player, we need this player, we need wingers in," and so on and so on. So we suffered the 1-0 defeat to Blackburn, and then when the FA Cup was approaching, and that's obviously, as I mentioned, the transfers were coming round, the rumours were going round left, right and centre. Rafa rotated, and I remember Murphy having a blinder coming in from the start. It was the FA Cup, it was a 1-1 draw, remember? Wait, that game, Forde? Goes to every game. You need someone get this lad a girlfriend, have you?
And I was busy saving passes.
So I remember it was pretty, the first 30-35 minutes it was all Newcastle, and then I remember your Kitsmith was starting to get a lot more into the game, and he should have won it for them. Them 2 headers at the end, towards the end.
2 headers, he scored the goal. I thought Fabrini was good as well, Diego Fabrini, and I'm surprised he didn't play that much in the other game that we played against him. But as you said, they should have won that game easily. And I was at the post-match presser as well, speaking to Zola, and he was just like, "How did we not win that game?" Because I think before that they had they lost 5 on the bounce or 4 on the bounce, so they needed that just for their own form. So we was lucky to get out of danger there.
There was a lot of rotation, wasn't there?
There was a lot of rotation. Obviously, Mitrovic got injured as well in that game.
And that was nasty to see the cup.
Yeah, I mean, he's all stitched up now, ready to go. You know what he's like. He'd go through brick walls and still want to play the next game. But
do you think we're lucky to stay in the game to get the replay?
Very lucky.
Yeah,
very lucky. We shouldn't have been there. We shouldn't have been in the replay, let alone in the next round as well. So.
I mean, I watched the highlights as well. I mean, I only went off the highlights, and Birmingham were by far the better team in the second half, and I would never complain if we went out, to be honest, because when we play teams and the third round's like our first round, so when we play teams from like League 1, League 2, we always mess up anyway, don't we? And we don't make things easy. Being a Newcastle fan, so
we never take it seriously. We never take a cup seriously, and that's what.
Well, you want the fans that won a cup run.
Yeah,
I do as well. Well, I do. I'm a big.
I know it affects the league.
I was annoyed that we didn't do it against Hull. That the fact that we're going back. Was it when we played Hull away?
Yeah.
When we went 1-0 up, and we had a chance. We would have had a chance of going through to the semi-final, and we somehow messed up against one of the worst teams at the time in the league. And we conceded the way we conceded as well, straight from kick-off.
Yeah.
It was just embarrassing, really, wasn't it?
But I can see why we don't have a cup run like this season. Yes, the main focus is promotion, and we say that we don't have enough in our squad, but at least try.
No, I agree.
At least try. The fans that went down.
I think with Rafa did want that cup, because Rafa's a cup specialist. You just look at like Napoli, you look at Chelsea when they Europa League.
Yeah.
Liverpool is another one as well.
But you say that, but I don't know, because if you look at the team, I know we're going to get into it later, but if you look at the team against Oxford, if you really wanted it, you had the likes of Richie on the bench.
You should have played the stronger team.
Shelby. Do you know what I mean? If you really, really wanted it, you might have had a mind on the next game coming up, but that's a risk that you got to take. That is the risk you got to take. Your thoughts, Anthony, on the game?
I would have, if we got knocked out, I would have looked on the bright side. I'd still like a cup run. Would have liked a cup run, obviously. But going into the game, I'd expect a win. Because although we rotated, we didn't rotate as much as when we played Birmingham in the next game. As in players like Stuart Finley didn't play, Yassim Bilani didn't play, stuff like the really youngins didn't play.
Yeah, that one.
It was still a rotated side, but it was still a somewhat strong-ish side.
Should have won it. The lad on paper.
It was the substitutes, not the youngins, that played in that match. So I would have liked a more dominant performance, but yeah, Birmingham probably deserved to go through.
Right,
Second on that one.
Forde, I've got a quick question for you. I'm not going through all of them, but Lee Finals asked you, what do you think of Diame sitting behind the striker in the 10 role, or would you like to see him play deeper?
I would love it if he just played a bit deeper. I think sometimes if he plays in number 10, he just gets too lazy.
Yeah.
You know, he just on Saturday he was amazing. Absolutely, yeah. I know we called it, but I think he's had 2 or 3 of those games this season so far. If maybe like
see, Shelby sprays it lovely.
Yeah.
Whereas the next man next to him can't get forward when it's called back Hayden, whereas Diame can.
Yeah.
So later on in games, I would say that I wouldn't think I would start him because of Rafa's formation.
But in my opinion, if we're using Rafa's formation, we can only afford to have one luxury player like that. One player who can be a little bit lazy and like that. And I think that's the forward. I don't think it can be the number 10. I think the number 10's still got to get back as well. So if you're having Diame being lazy, Gale's up top, but obviously he's got to have time off because he's running left, right, centre. That means that we've got 2 players out of the game when we're trying to defend as well. So for me, Diame's got to sit deeper and help out because he's not that effective all the time. Do you know what I mean? If you're playing in a number 10, he's got to be busting.
Watch a shine.
He's got to be busting.
Got a fancy watch.
He's got to be busting the gut to be getting back. Oh yeah. But yeah, make me nervous.
We're just going to step away from matches for probably about 10 to 15 minutes now. So get yourselves a cuppa. We're going to talk a little bit about players, young players and players who are linked. We'll come on to Townsend later on. But I want your thoughts on Newcastle's policy of loaning the under 23 players out. So we're seeing a triple Lee Clark, who obviously has got connections with the club. We're seeing Sean Longstaff, who I'm a big admirer of, follows us on Twitter. Thanks, Sean. Freddie Woodman, who I would rate personally really high, and we're seeing Cal Roberts all head out to Kilmarnock. What's your thoughts on firstly the policy, and out of those 3 players, who would you expect to possibly kick on next season again, another loan deal, or even push on, hopefully you think, into the first team? Sharkey?
Well, I agree with it, to be honest with you. If it means they're going to get valuable experience, so someone like Woodman, he's going to be a top quality England goalkeeper in the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years.
Freddie Woodman, I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah, I think he's got something to offer, and at the moment, obviously, we've got that many goalkeepers at the minute. He's not going to get in the team, so it's
that's a problem. Because you look at who else is out loan. You've got 3 first team goalkeepers right now. You've got Woodman, and then you've got Krull still got another year when he comes back.
Well, this is it. That's it.
2 out here. And Woodman out on loan again.
I don't think
it's fair for him.
It's a hard one because obviously whether we'll get promoted, whether we don't. That's obviously Rafa's got that problem now, hasn't he? We've got Matt Sells as well. Don't forget. Caldara.
So
hello.
If it was to keep 3 keepers, who are the 3 keepers you keep?
Woodman, I would keep.
Elliot.
Elliot. Sorry, and
Darlow.
And Darlow. Yeah.
Get rid of Sells and Krull.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too disheartened with that.
Because the reason I would get rid of Tim Cook, because is he when's his contract? When does his contract run?
Another year. It's got another year.
Yes. So get in the summer, get some money while he can. Get some off him. He's come through the academy, hasn't he?
Woodman there. Then what about the other 2? Do you know much about Sean Longstaff, Carl Roberts?
A little bit, not a great deal, but like I say, obviously you probably know a bit more about them than me.
Anthony, a little bit.
Do you want to expand?
Let's see. First of all, I agree with the whole loan policy in general, because
are they going to get in the first team this season?
That's the thing, though.
That's what you're going to do with them.
That's why you want, say, maybe not Freddie Woodman at Kilmarnock. I'd like to see it when he was at Crawley Town.
Yeah,
I think it was
the 3 month, wasn't it?
For a bit. I'd like to see him at a slightly bigger club. More in the
Championship League.
Championship a little bit
like Adam Armstrong.
Yeah.
Like Adam Armstrong.
Gradually.
That's the thing. I'd like to see. It's the same with a couple of players. I'd like to see them maybe in bigger clubs if they are going to be loaned out. Right, I've got your list. Anyway, Longstaff. I've been keeping an eye on him. He's been doing fairly well. Yeah, I think he scored
10 goals from midfield before you went into that one.
I think he scored for Kilmarnock.
Yeah, he did score
just last weekend. Freddie Woodman, I really like him. I think we've seen him a couple of times.
A lot of
play
fans,
for Newcastle.
I
think we've seen him a couple of times. I'd rather see him out on loan next season, but I'd like to see a much bigger club.
Yeah.
If we got promoted, I'd like to see him in the Championship.
In the Championship, because I think that's where he's going to develop in the Championship.
Because even if he's one of the say 3 keepers that would keep, I don't see him getting in. Unless we had a stupidly bad injury, which did actually happen when Darlow had to come in at the end of the Premier League season. So it could happen, but he's too good of a talent to just sit on the bench and hope. Well, even sit on up in the stands as the third choice. Well, just see him sit there and wait. Do
you know what reminds me of? It reminds me of the keeper at Southampton, Fraser Forster.
Yeah,
had so much potential. Ended up going to Celtic. Was it on loan at first, and then then buying him, and look where he's gone now. And Southampton, he's in the first team, and he's developing, isn't he? And you never know. He's potential of getting in the England team. Because obviously we haven't done exactly brilliant ever. So it kind of reminds you, we've got to be careful how we're.
Forde, what's your thoughts on the youngsters?
See, I'm going to disagree with all of you. I think
Tell us why.
Yeah, I think we've got it wrong in terms of our loan policy. I think this should have been the season that we've developed at least 4 of those players, not 4 of those players that we sent out on loan, but just 4 young players in general. Because this should be the season that we do.
Do you think this season though is Premier League only? You've got to get Premier League.
No, yes and no. Because
let me ask you this question then: if we played all these youngsters and we didn't go up, the club would collapse. Rafa would walk. We would lose Shelby. No.
Because we could have easily developed 4 players, and I'll tell you the 4. Jamie Sterry.
Yeah, well, he's a squad player now, isn't he?
Yeah, but he spent half the season out on loan in Coventry, didn't he?
Yeah.
Adam Armstrong.
Yeah, he's a bounce, isn't he?
See, I would have had Armstrong.
Do you know what I'm saying?
We'll ask this question before in the comments below. What would you make of Adam Armstrong? I forgot what the question was. I'll have to scroll back up, but
yeah,
it was more. Armstrong, I think it's more. Should he stayed?
Definitely.
Even if it's a squad player, because he would have got a lot more game time.
Because again, he can't be any worse than Mitrovic sometimes or Murphy.
Can I be honest with you? I was disappointed that he did go on loan, because at the end of the day, yes, we got relegated, and yes, he bossed League One with Coventry City. Yeah, they didn't go up, and the company haven't got a lot of money, but we are a championship club now. In that, if we want it to develop, you should have stayed with us because we're in the Championship, and the whole point is a bit like Andy Carroll. He gradually started scoring goals. The last time we got relegated, and look what happened when he went to Liverpool, 35 million price tag.
Yeah,
I'm Armstrong. Not saying I don't know. Not to say I don't know what Armstrong would, whether he would have scored, what 15 to 20 goals in the.
We don't know, but that's the thing. You should have that opportunity. We're in the same. He's in the same league as us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, playing the same teams, and he would have been around better players. So surely would have had a better chance of progression.
I didn't want to go on.
Anyway, those are the first 2. Third one, Freddie Woodman. I would have kept him here. I don't know why we needed to go out and sign another keeper when we've got a young player on the bench.
I think what Rafa said was at that time was because we had Elliot and Jan Crow.
But we had Darlow. You know how I feel about Darlow. I don't need to say anymore. Darlow.
Well, the next time you interview Rafa, make sure you ask that question.
Whoa.
Always believe.
Yeah, exactly. And then the 4th one might have been Longstaff or. See, I think the players that we loan out are better than the ones we've actually got here at the moment.
What, as in youngsters or as
youngsters?
Yeah.
If you think about the 3 that we played against Birmingham, what was it?
Elmani, Barleza, Finley.
Finley's good, but I think Longstaff is better than Barleza, honestly. I know that other people think the other way round, but I think we've got better players out on loan.
I would say it's Longstaff is.
Yeah.
Longevity, I would say Barleza.
Yeah, I know a lot of people rate Barleza, and I like him too, but I think we've got better players out on loan.
I think as well with a situation as well with obviously Mitrovic and stuff. Obviously we've had to rely on Murphy. Would you not say rely because obviously we've lost Mitrovic? I think Armstrong would have been perfect.
I think he would have given us something different.
Yeah.
We've got 2 big men in Mitro, Murphy.
Local lad as well.
Exactly.
A local lad. Yeah, he hasn't got the number 9 shirt, but I think you could link up with Gale as well if we played a 4-4-2.
No, I think it would have been a Murphy. And
you would have had someone big with them.
You know what
I mean? Let me ask you this question about those 3 players. So let's keep on topic. Out of those 3 players, what's going to happen with them next season? Because Carl Roberts we haven't really talked about. I think personally for me, I think he needs another loan spell out.
Yeah,
I think
a bit about him.
I think Longstaff, it's a difficult one for Longstaff because if he can kick on with Kilmarnock, I would have him at least in the squad if he does.
Honestly, I don't think at the moment. I don't think they'll get a kick, man. I think
all three will be loaned out again.
Yeah, no,
I think all three will be loaned out again with others as well. And I think we're not doing enough about the youth policy as well. You know, who's the last person that got into the team, like really into the first team from the youth?
Paul
Dummett.
Tim Cole, Paul Dummett.
It's a while. You know what I mean? We should be looking to bring in at least one or two.
I think even next season, if whether we'll go up or whether we don't, he's the sort of person we need to kick on because he, at the end of the day,
we need one or two a season because in terms of progression,
the lad's got
where can these youth players go? You know what I mean? We don't want to be bringing them and then loaning them out and then they get sold on and then they come good again like Forster has, like
Biggie Mono. He was a young lad from Coventry. Was did Media Bead get in the team either?
Yeah, another one. Well, I'm going to skip one because we've obviously got in front of us like what we're talking about. I'm just going to skip that and keep on that subject of Alex Gilliard because I think he's on the same level, so to speak. So Alex Gilliard's had 2 or 3 loans out now. Play on the wings, play up front. He's actually from this area, believe it or not, as well. Would you say that's the same as with him? Does he need another loan spell again next season, or do we cash in on him? What's going to happen with Alex Gilliard?
Well, about it my way.
According to you, I mean, go on, man. I've paid attention to what he's been doing, especially like when he was at Carlisle on loan. The issue with him is that he's performing well enough to sort of stay in those kind of teams, but not quite performing well enough to earn himself either a big loan or the occasional chance.
League 2, League 1, do you think he needs another championship?
See, the problem, that's where I'd like to see him next, but
still young, still 20.
He is still young, but it's kind of like if he feels there, he's in a bit of trouble as far as his Newcastle career goes.
Because it's no good of him playing now under 23 football once every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think all of those players need to be aiming at championship bare minimum. If they're going lower than that, then we might as well sell them on.
But if we don't loan them out to the championship, do we sell them?
Yeah.
But
why are we keeping them hanging around?
Yeah, this is it because sometimes you've got to be honest. The club's got to be honest with the player, and the player's got to be if you're not going to get in the first team, the club's then got to obviously think, right, okay, we'll cash in on him and we'll get some money and we'll try and invest that somewhere else. If he's not progressing, if he's not moving forward, then you've got to do that and try and send him out to another club. You know what I mean? That's going to develop in maybe a League 2, League 1 club.
Yeah.
We had the same problem with Adam Campbell. He was obviously the person before Adam Armstrong. I was actually fairly hopeful for Adam Campbell.
And now he's playing for the Magpies with Shola.
And now
they all linked up.
Nolan. And the problem is that the older they get, realistic, the less money you can get.
Yeah.
Because if a young lad performs all right in League 1 at the age of 19, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But if you don't think he's going to perform well in the Premier League by the age of 24, 25.
I mean, I know you get late bloomers and stuff like that, but at the same time, as you said, realistically, if you're not made it by 23, 24, you've got to be pushed on to a different club and still continue your career because there's no point keep holding on. It's like who did I see? Harris Vukic.
Yeah,
he's been at Wigan. He's been all over,
and he was touted for. He scored, but at the same time, he should have broke through by now.
He's out of contract, isn't he?
Yeah,
so just about. Well, I thought Wigan would have got him anyway. I thought Wigan would have just signed him on. I mean, he was doing alright.
Well, that was quite a good debate. I like it, lads. Right, we're moving on to players who are linked. We'll come on to Townsend and Barrow later on in the video. Just this bit, I want to talk about that centre midfield 3 that we were heavily linked to pretty much for a good 2 to 3 weeks. And literally, if you look at that list, you've got Loftus-Cheek, allegedly turned one down. Cleverly, who did turn one down and went to Watford. And also James McCarthy, who we didn't really get, and he scored for Everton on the weekend. Is centre midfield, well, it looks like it was priority. Is that going to come back and haunt us, not signing one of those 3 players, Sharky?
Yes.
So Forde thinks yes, we'll come at you.
Jump in.
Hold the mic.
Sorry. Yes and no, but obviously it just depends if, because we all know that Shelby is the main man in the midfield, we all know that.
Yes, man.
And without Shelby, we're kind of screwed on with really when
You
you
know
win.
what's going to happen. It's
I
going
mean-
to be a crunch challenge on John.
Do you know what? I really wanted to see someone like James McCarthy come in because he's not one of the big names, but you can do your job, buddy. If ever you do your job,
Better than what we've got.
he's got a bit of Premier League experience, with Everton and stuff, and Everton now was the top. So I mean, even the likes of Loftus-Cheek would have been good because I mean, someone like Rafa would have developed him on to be a better player than I think we've got more games.
That long, though, would we?
Yeah, it would have been a loan most likely,
half
but
the season. But I'm saying yes and yes. I think Shelby's going to get injured. I don't hope he doesn't. Obviously, touch wood. But at the same time, it's going to happen, man. Shelby's going to have a crunching challenge on him. He's going to be out for months, and we've been shown already that we can't cope without him. We can't.
Now Tiote's gone, which will come on to the end.
Tiote's gone as well, so we've got no one to dictate the play. Hopefully, he sticks around for the whole season. But we needed someone in there because it's always Shelby and Colback. Shelby on someone else. Shelby.
So it comes back to the Diame question again. Then we might have to use him a lot more.
Yeah.
To defend deeper role.
Yeah, but he doesn't play like Shelby as well, does he? He doesn't.
Didn't play.
He's a little bit quieter, isn't he? Sometimes he's a bit in his shell a little bit, and he only comes out when he seems like something's happened.
And we don't even need Shelby. We do need Shelby for the long ball, but Shelby doesn't always get used for the long ball. Just from his characteristics on the pitch, if you watch him for the 90 minutes, you always see him shouting at Darlow for distribution. Telling Murphy for runs and stuff like that. So you can see him as a leader on the pitch.
To be
to be honest with you, that's the reason why we need a Shelby part 2. That's the reason why we obviously was linked with so many players.
Yeah.
So
Anthony, what's your thought? Then let me ask you a question then. Out of those 3, which is the one you really wanted?
Probably McCarthy.
Is that because of his experience?
Partly, but also he's a touch more creative.
What he does.
Basically, it would just be nice to have a plan B. As we saw when we lost Shelby, because we don't have a plan B.
We've got no plan B.
Even though, if you
take
Shelby,
are we a one-man team?
We are, man.
We take Dwight Gale out, obviously.
Two. No, not even Richie. Because sometimes he turns out.
Yeah, Richie's he's hit and misses. Sometimes.
No, we are. And you know what? Championship teams, if you're watching this, where am I pointing to? Why have you not picked up on the fact that we play through Shelby all the time? We do. If I was Steve McLaren,
we didn't Rotherham try and do that, which will come on in.
Yeah,
they did. But obviously they got to have a decent player to do the job. But even Shelby picked up. I think it was that game where he said, "If I went to the toilet, you would have followed me, or be waiting outside." Something along those jokey lines. But do you know what I mean? You need someone like that just to stick a man on him, because that's pretty much us done.
Well, that's it. Well, once you stop Shelby, you're stopping the whole team, aren't you? I mean, because he is a creative player. You can just pick out passes, or you'll see something like Atu running there. You'll see Richie, running there, and you're like, right, we'll go straight across.
If we can score, how come other managers can't?
It's not just that we have got that little bit extra quality, whereas in the Premier League we'll get found out massively, wouldn't it? That was obviously the case of last season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Question again for Anthony then. Why wouldn't you not have the other 2?
Oh, I'd have the other 2 if it was
down.
Loftus-Cheek, a little bit young, but any one of them I wouldn't have complained. But a little bit young, so it would have been nice to have that experience at Championship level. If you're in the Premier League, a young age can get you a bit far as well with having a bit of flair and just almost a bit of inexperience. The kind of person that goes up to Roy Keane and doesn't care because they're too young to know any better than that. It's that kind of thing. So, and with Cleverley, it would have been someone a lot like Hayden. Better than Hayden, maybe.
He's better, I know what you mean.
He's better at the same role than Hayden. So I wouldn't have complained, but with McCarthy, you've got plan B.
Sprays it a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah. So if Shelby was injured, Tom Cleverley would be nice, but McCarthy would give you a plan B.
For me, I would have gone for the Stevie G link. If I was Rafa, come on, for 6 months.
Get out of retirement.
Exactly, for 6 months.
As well, then.
Yeah, at this rate. Yeah, him, or realistically, Sigurdsson.
Oh, he is so massively underrated.
Sigurdsson,
He is unbelievable.
I mean, he's doing it right now for Swansea, and Swansea are a one-man team.
Rafa, get that checked with that.
But you imagine him.
Would you buy him at the end of the season?
Yes.
Probably now, still.
If Swansea went down.
Even if they didn't,
jump at that chance.
Whatever it takes to get him.
Yeah.
15 million.
I'll pay 50. I think it's worth it.
Right, we're staying on the subject of players and youngsters again. So obviously the transfer window opened, and then it closed. Obviously, we've seen 3 under 23 players come back from the loans. I know I've touched a little bit on it. The likes of James Sharkey stayed at the club, Haris Vukic and Sami Amiobi. We'll talk about Sami Amiobi first, and this is going to tie into what we'll talk about later on in the video. For me, I said this earlier on in a fans cams video. I think you were doing it with us.
Yeah, Rotherham. Yeah, Tom.
Where I said Sami Amiobi will stay at the club if we don't sign a winger. That's obviously to be true. Are these 3 players, would you guys go along with the likes of Vukic and Amiobi are heading out the door? They're only there for support of the first team. Sharky?
It's a funny one because I think with Amiobi,
Sammy scores.
You're on the pitch. Sammy scores. Come on.
That was great when he come on the pitch.
Well, this is it. You know,
your left leg in, left leg out, right out, right leg out.
He's he's another local lad, isn't he? You know, Sami Amiobi. He came on in the second half against Rotherham. The fans absolutely loved it. They were cheering him and all that stuff. I think Rafa
cheering him for the wrong reasons though.
Yeah,
we're kind of like Mickey taking a little bit.
I think Rafa still has I still think he's got a future. I know it sounds. It's going to be.
Who's got a future?
Sammy. I still think he's got.
I don't think he has. I think he's out the door.
Do you think he'll go out the door in the
I think
summer?
he'll go out the door and join Notts County.
I think. Well, the way I'm looking at the moment is, again, in this minute, I think that they want to give him game time, and obviously he's going to come on in the second half, isn't he?
See, I don't think he will now if Atsu's back.
Oh, definitely.
I think he'll be.
Yeah, I didn't think that. Actually, didn't think of that too. He's been in the African Cup of Nations, hasn't he?
I mean, wake right up after that tournament.
So I think what they'll do is, how long's he got left in his contract?
Summer.
Yeah. So they're going to make no money now. So they're probably going to let him go. They're really, if Rafa gets his way.
Quick question: Are you hot, lads?
No, I'm alright.
You're alright. Good. I've got the heating blasting.
Good.
Are you toasting? Wants to turn the heating down?
No.
Is it hot up? This conversation is a hot up.
Right. We'll carry on, Anthony. I'll let you fire your opinions.
See, Vukic 100%.
Careful. I thought he was going to swear there. Swear all he wants.
Okay, but not right now. Vukic definitely 100% gone. He's not going to get into this team at all. At least Sammy will be a bit part at some point.
Yeah, that's what I was
injury or something.
And Sammy
that's what I was alluding to. Yeah.
Sammy can occasionally be interesting, like his goal against Tottenham.
Will he score when he's on the pitch?
He did
it
against Tottenham.
Unless he played Gillingham.
So maybe
good memory.
He's interesting as a substitute to bring on, because especially if the others are tired. Because we've all seen, on the occasion, he can do brilliant things of getting past people.
See, with Sammy, he's not direct enough.
No.
He's the same.
Slinky, isn't he?
Yeah, he's slinky.
It's like move those legs, move them legs.
We need the reason why. Oh God. The reason why we wanted to obviously sign Townsend, because he could go both ways. He could go left, right. We haven't got. Yeah, Barrow. But we haven't got a player to do that, have we? You know, Richie doesn't do that. He doesn't go past players.
That's why I think Yedlin is so important at all.
Yeah,
it's the pace. It's the pace that he generates, isn't it?
But the only reason why Abiola is playing is because we didn't get Townsend, isn't it?
That's what I said.
That's it. We didn't get Townsend. Bring Amiobi back, and now we've got options on the wing. We've got Goofam and Richie one side, Atsu and Amiobi the other side.
Arms is due in April, isn't he? Due back in April.
Yeah,
probably not see him though.
Yeah,
last couple of years a real shame.
That's why I said with Vukic, obviously, he's going to go out the door.
He's gone.
But then you look, obviously, I said with Amiobi, he's, will they sell him or will they offer a contract a year's extension or something? What if we need more cover in that area, are they going to offer him another year's deal?
I don't think so.
Or they're just going to say, right, that's it, time's done.
I think he was doing well at Bolton, wasn't he? He got.
That's his level.
Listen, I was surprised he came. To be fair, I was surprised that Bolton didn't keep him on. Obviously, I
don't think they had the option, because we still have the power to bring up players, the same we did with Sterry as well.
Yeah.
And I hope for Sterry he can kick on as well.
I was just a bit shocked that the club didn't then go back to Bolton, because I felt like you were saying he's found his level in League One and he was doing all right.
But we take preference all the time.
That's it, yeah.
Imagine if Adam Armstrong scored like 10 goals in 9 games.
Well, this is it.
Then we bring him back as well. So that's the only reason why. But yeah, because we didn't get Townsend, that's why we brought back Amiobi.
Right, Anthony, question for you. What's the future for Jamie Sterry?
Interesting. He didn't play as much at Coventry as I would have liked. Apart from, the first season when he was with Adam Armstrong, he played fairly regularly. Adam Armstrong was obviously the star man for Coventry from us, but Jamie Sterry played a little bit more. But then he's not played quite well enough, maybe to have earned the starting
So
place
what's
at
happened is
Coventry.
because we've got Yedlin, we've got Anita who's utility player. He's
Yeah.
maybe more or less the right
He can
back.
do all right there.
What's the future for Sterry? What do we do next season with him?
They've come on, really. It
Because
depends on.
he's 21, I believe now.
It partially depends on Gamez, because he's been a real missing man, and I've
He's
not
shocking.
quite understood why. I mean, we've seen him on the odd occasion, but you can't judge a bloke who's played in La Liga for such a long time, and then he's only played about
He's
3
a really,
games
really
over
disappointing
here.
because here's our scandal for me. I was so excited for bringing him in. The championship's like, get him, we've got an Atletico, Atleti wing back and play both sides, aggressive in the tackle.
I think he's had plus 10
And then
10 plus.
we haven't seen him all
Champions
season.
League.
So
And he's had fits, he's been fits and starts, he's had a couple of games there now.
I think he could walk. I think he'll go at the end of the season. Gamez.
I thought it was
So
two.
the future's uncertain, which is all agree with that of Sterry.
Yeah.
Another loan.
Everybody's future's uncertain as far as the youth goes.
Right, back to football. 40 rate this game, the Brentford one.
No, because it was, what was it, like it was a Saturday, wasn't it?
I'm sure you were
Yeah,
at that game.
Saturday away.
It was a Saturday way. Where did it go? Oh, because of the journey time. I hate travelling down to London.
Because that's your part of the woods, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. But I've been down there so many times. I don't know what Wigan Park looks like, but it's
So,
fine. It's fine.
What I remember from this game, Brentford battered were absolutely battered were. We got a very quick goal from Gale on the left flank. I remember.
Yeah, Perez got 2 assists in that game.
Perez, he got a 2 assists, and then
Oh no.
I think this is the start of the decline of Lascelles this month. There was a few signs in there. Over the top ball, Vibe was getting through. And it was just a couple of shaky moments with Lascelles. I'm not picking on Lascelles in this game. I'm just picking out what I remember, the pinpoint ones. And obviously they were battering our goal the last 10 minutes. You could say we're lucky to get away. Maybe it was a great display, dogged display, depending on which side of the fence to sit on. But it's one of those small, old school grounds.
Very compact.
Very 80s-like grounds, and you nick the 3 points. And to be honest, the performance doesn't care. As long as we've got them 3 points, would you agree with that? What do you make of that? The performance, the game, the result of that?
Well, you could say, well, we've had to literally grind out the result, to be honest, because I was listening to it at work, and all I heard was great save by Darlow, all that, because Brentford were really pushing after we scored. Would you agree? And at the end of the day, it was a bit. I think the result was a bit unjust on Brentford, because I thought Brentford deserved at least a point out of that game, if not the 3. But like I say, in the Championship, even away from home, we've got a scrap.
If you look at Brighton, have just went there and they've struggled there.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, we got let off the hook. Would you say we got let off the hook? I mean, we were in the second.
Didn't have the penalty shout as well, didn't they?
Because all you heard was great save this, great save that. Brentford on the attack. Lascelles or someone was just managed to get it over the crossbar or something. And from what I heard in the second half, it were a bit. It was unfortunate.
Perez's UDT clan has just commented there. Was that Perez outside the boot assists?
Yeah,
that was beautiful, wasn't it?
It was a great
Murphy had that's the spell when Murphy started to kick on a bit. Probably I would say that's assist of the season for me. I thought it was fantastic watching it. Perez, I know he's been very Perez has been very, very poor, but that for me that's assist of the season.
That's his best contribution. But I remember in the 4-3 game, Shelby's 80-yard ball to go. That was naughty. Yeah. I'll have to put that up there as well.
Was class. That
just
was
off
such a class.
Yeah. One touch, bang.
But this was the point where we were first, we were second, we were first. This is the point where we yo-yo between us and Brighton. So I think the 3 points was crucial. Do you not agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Brentford, and they didn't even play Scott Hogan that game, did they?
Yeah, because he was at West Ham, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You've got to be honest with you. You've got, like I was saying before, you've got these away games. You've got to win ugly sometimes. You just got to scrap for the points. And yes, you're going to have good games and bad games away from home. You're going to have results where you've totally dominated. Yeah, you deserve the 3 points, but then you're going to get games of like Brentford, where we've been absolutely shocking second half, and we've deserved to walk away with nothing, and we've got something. So, and those 3 points could mean a lot come the end of the season. Imagine if we won the league by the 3 points, or by a couple of points, something like that. So these points make a massive difference. Especially away from home, because last season in the Premier League we were awful away from home, weren't we? I mean,
your thoughts, Anthony?
I don't want to say dogged because
it was
cliche, but I think the point that come to my mind was that the same is generally said about Premier League champions as well. If Man U has a dodgy game and win, say, 1-0 against Crystal Palace,
Man U
but
used to do that under
Palace
Fergie.
do well. That's what I mean. So I don't think a lot of.
Is it a sign of champions?
I don't want to go that far
Because don't like.
I like to be reserved when it comes to this sort of thing. But whenever a good team only wins, by 1 goal, say against Palace or whatever, I keep picking on Palace. Well, Pardew's there, so I think I've earned that right. I think. Well,
it's that little bit extra quality that we've.
Well, Allardyce is there. I've earned that right to criticise Crystal Palace. So yeah, I suppose it's difficult. Really. I don't like watching it.
Yeah.
I don't like watching dogged displays.
And that's not pretty, but
it's the 3 points in
It's
Champions.
it's the added extra quality that we've got to what the other championship teams haven't got. Do you know what I mean?
It's the finishing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
we've got that, whereas other championship sides will love that.
I mean, like a lot of teams need, like, say, 6 or 7 shots at the goal, to have.
Whereas we may have 1 or 2.
Yeah,
I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Right, so we're about halfway through, believe it or not. So stay with us. Right, we're going to move on, and this was when the rumours it started. The newspaper rumours were circulating. A lot of local press and national press was stating that Mike Ashley was going to have a board meeting to discuss transfers, transfer budget, who's in control of it. So we'll come back to this in a moment, deeper, because obviously we'll come back to the Rafa. What was your thoughts going through? At this stage, do you think, it's just paper talk at this point?
At first, paper talk, but then as it gradually went on, as the week went on, people were saying, Mike Ashley, doesn't want to give Rafa this, we don't want to be, we want to get rid of this player, or, we don't want to progress. I'm thinking, no, not again.
I think it was quite a bit paper talk,
a lot, wasn't
but
it?
More to make it worse than it actually was.
Yeah.
I imagine Mike Ashley was having a meeting and was getting a bit more interested in transfers.
It's believed that he did have that meeting, but what that meeting consists of, we don't know.
Well, I imagine he probably just wanted more information on what we're doing. He wasn't necessarily going in and saying, Rafa, I don't like what your transfers are doing, blah blah blah. I want to take over. I don't think that's actually what happened, because with someone like Rafa Benitez, it's a bit difficult for a club like Newcastle, like someone like Mike Ashley, to come in and say you're wrong, because he's not quite that dumb.
He's a businessman, isn't he?
He's a businessman. He knows precisely who he hired. I think he knows precisely how good a quality, especially with obviously us fans singing his name in just about every single match. I think he knows precisely the quality of the person he hired, but I think he wanted a little bit more information. And for we know, Rafa Benitez might not have been the person being watched. It might have been the chairman. Who is the chairman right now?
Well, we don't really have a chat.
Is it Lamp?
Lee John.
No, managing director.
Graham Carr. He might have been thinking about what they're doing, not necessarily about Rafa.
So it's blown up.
We went in the boardroom.
Forde, you work in the media.
I think it's all blown out of proportion, really.
Well, that's what I'm thinking at the same time.
According to an ITV source.
I don't know what you're on about.
You just started rumours on Twitter. According to ITV sources.
I don't know what you're on about.
I don't know. He'll be blasting this Rafa on time.
No. But me personally, as a fan, I think it's blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
I think Ashley's always had some sort of way in to speak to Rafa.
Because Lee Chon is like the middleman, isn't he?
Yeah, Lee Chon is the middleman. Mike Ashley was supposed to take a back seat, but I think he was taking a back seat because obviously what's going on with sports director and all the rest of it.
Because at this point he was seen in the Birmingham away fixture,
yeah,
and then the Brentford one.
Yeah, but it's his club.
If he wants to have a look at what how we're doing.
If you own a club and you want to rock up to a game, you can.
Maybe he's blown up. Maybe he's a bit worried that with because of the performances weren't quite there. That he was a bit worried that we might decline down the table.
No. I think it's genuinely just taking interest. I think he's always had an interest, but he was taking a back seat because of what was happening in the media in terms of sports director, obviously paying wages, all the rest of it. And I think he's always had a say-so in terms of transfers anyway, even in the summer. But because he let Rafa, pushed him out as the forefront, we're singing his name every single week. That's the reason why we didn't think about Mike Ashley up until now. Yeah, then he gets seen at 2 games and then everyone's thinking, is he getting involved again? I think it's just a conversation of, this is what you can have. You can either spend some money now and have half Championship players, half maybe Premier League proven players now, or you can, I say slum it out, but you can go for it with the players that you've got, because we've got a strong enough squad anyway. And then just wait until the summer, and that's the thing. Rafa might have thought, okay, I'm going to get some money now. That's what I was told in the summer, but he might have had a slight change of heart and seen the books and say, look, hold on to this 30 odd million or how much money we've got, and then wait until we get into the Premier League and then spend it, which makes more sense. So all in all, it is blown out of proportion because we didn't really need to spend it now anyway. The top of the league, we've got healthy books, we've got Dwight Gale to come back, Anita, Atsu to come back as well. Diame's just come back. What's the panic about?
Well, this is obviously going to be later on in in the podcast. Something. But like I say, I don't know if Forde you were spot on, and I think at the I just think most likely we're probably going to get promoted. I hope that.
We will.
But I'm saying it's best to have more money in the summer. Do you know what I mean? So we know where we're at and what where we are with the team and stuff, and where we need to strengthen. And I think you're spot on for that as well.
We'll come on to what Rafa's little outburst later on in the video as well. So we'll come up to the replay of the FA Cup. I had about 15 kids around me at this game. I didn't.
I was there.
I bumped into you, didn't I?
I had kids in the front row.
I had about 15
selfies with us because I just sat stone faced.
Did you?
Just that's what I usually do. Apart from when obviously a score or something good happens, and they just kept taking selfies with us.
Well, I had about 15 kids around us. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. No offense to kids. I just don't like sitting around the football match. So I was in the Leeds end, a bit alien to me. I took my nephew for his first ever game. He loved it. This is when we're seeing a massive surprise. I was shocked. We're seeing the likes of Almani in there. We're seeing Finlay start and Barley's. Now Rafa did hint on that was going to be some under 23s because they were training with the squad, and I think Jamie Holmes was another one that was training as well. But I thought, he'll chuck a couple on the bench, but to chuck all three of them in the start lineup was like, whoa, wait a minute, he didn't have to do that. And it was like, why has he done that? So Sharkey, why did he do it?
Whether he believes in them, doesn't he? It's a nighttime kick off, isn't it? You just give him a chance.
Did he believe in them, or was it more like the game was a bit of a hindrance?
Yeah, a bit of both, to be fair, because obviously we've got the league. We've got the league game after on the Saturday. Was it Rotherham? Yeah, and that was a massive. They're bottom of the league on the Salon now, and it's a massive game. And to be honest with you, it was. When I seen it, I wasn't too disappointed. I thought, you've got to give these people a chance. Give these players a chance and see what happened. And to be honest, my stand-up player, would you not agree, was Barlaser?
He was good that day.
I don't think it was my man of the match. Not for me, but I think I personally felt that kid struggled. For me, I think all three of them struggled.
I think the standout one out of the three was Finlay.
Yeah, he did well defensively. On the ball, he looked uncomfortable. Like my mate kept saying to us, I'll pass it forward. But he always kept passing it maybe to the left back or to the centre back. He was very one-dimensional. But whenever the ball came over the top, he did his job.
Yeah.
He looked uncomfortable doing it, but he did it.
What did you make of Almani? Because personally, I felt he struggled big time. And he was this next Ben Arthur.
A very young player. Obviously, he's a YouTube star. Before he did this, he'd been teaching. He'd been teaching Neymar tricks.
YouTube.
There's actually a video.
Yeah, you need to come into YouTube, mate.
Come on, bring Geordie Train Spotting back.
Geordie Train Spotting. That's my hobby.
I'm still hopeful because, as you say, there's a reason why I've got Ben off on the back of this shirt. Because I like seeing that kind of flair player, even if they didn't necessarily did it consistently. But it was in a sense, the flair players can be your plan B.
Yeah.
Like the match against Bolton when he scored that world goal. Before that, everything was boring. We couldn't do anything. Not that Bolton could do anything either, but it was very quiet. And then he pulls that out of the bag. And then CC scored with it. No, was it Amiobi who scored? With the offside goal?
Which one in there?
But that game finished 2-0. Ben Arthur obviously got his running goal.
Oh, right, the Bolton one, sorry.
At the end.
You turned this into a history lesson now. Come on.
It's the same game as me.
Yeah.
2-0.
I remember that one. I remember it.
He scored a better goal against Blackburn than Ben Arthur in the FA Cup.
Oh, I don't know the team, did he?
So Almani struggled. What about your thoughts, Forde, on the team?
On the team?
The kids as well, because you were ATB with that night, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in the press. So got to see a good view of it. As I said, I thought Finlay was the better out of the three.
He's played league football before though. For he was on loan at Kilmarnock, I think it was, wasn't he, last season? I know he's a starting player.
Yeah. He was Celtic, wasn't he?
He was on loan at Kilmarnock, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he looked quite solid. I think he would get into the championship side quite easily. The other two, I still think they need work, and that's what I was saying in my point earlier, that I think the players that we've got on loan are better than what we've got here at the moment. I think those two probably need to go out on loan and maybe bring the other ones back, obviously eventually at the end of the season, and I think they would have more of a better chance of impressing Rafa in this current side, or when we get in the Premier League.
38,000 for a cup game mid and replay. That's
fantastic support. I don't know nothing like it. As I said, I'm not from these neck of the woods, man. So I've gone to no, really. So I've gone to different games, just for the love of football, and I've not seen anything like it on a Wednesday night, Tuesday night to see 40,000 fans turning up. It's just crazy the support that you guys get here up here in the North East.
So, you think that game was didn't make a difference if it went through or not?
I don't think so.
Play the kids again.
Same with the Oxford game as well. We'll get onto that, but I think he had the same sentiment in mind. The league's the priority. We haven't got enough players to play a full strength side. In his mind, I think we do, but it's Rafa's decision at the end of the day. But I think he thought, what, I'll play half and half. Play experience with the youth. If we go through, we go through. Well done. If we don't, then it's one of those things, and we'll go on to the next one as well.
Good question for you. Coming through for you, Forde.
Yeah.
Florian Thauvin asks, because I keep asking and asking, your thoughts on Thauvin.
Thoughts on Thauvin?
I know we're going completely left field, but...
Yeah. No, I like Thauvin. What? No. Pre-season, he had a good pre-season, didn't he? He had a good pre-season from what I remember. He scored.
Seen how many player of the months he's got at Marseille?
He's doing well. And again, we needed a winger,
He's not going to be our next season, is he?
I know, but we needed a winger. We was talking about Townsend all the time. Maybe he could have done a job. All he needed was a gym membership. Get him down the gym, get some weight on him, and then he would be fine. I think we should have brought him back.
Thoughts on him, Anthony? Townsend?
When we didn't get, if we could have done, when we didn't get Townsend, I wouldn't have minded seeing him back.
Yeah.
I think we should have gone for him over Sammy Amiobi.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think
Thauvin,
I think what makes the deal complicated is because
he's signed officially now, isn't he?
It's officially but not officially, if that makes sense.
It's a pre-deal.
It hasn't come out officially
it's
from,
a bit like
both clubs. Like Cabela.
Cabela, I was about to say, the Cabela situation.
He's signed, but it's not been made official by both parties.
He's still on a contract, but everyone knows he's going there.
Yeah, basically. Right then. So Lee disagrees and says he's shite. Right. Okay.
I agree with Lee.
Right. Okay then. So we're on to coming up to after the midweek game. We went to Boardroom. You were expecting Newcastle to put on a show. They did. It was 4-0. It was pretty comfortable. Rotherham were never in the game. Even the boss come out and said, Rotherham's boss come out and said that this club will be in the Premier League. This ground is massive, etc., etc. You would expect Newcastle to beat Rotherham 4-0. It was pretty easy, wasn't it? It wasn't too many hiccups there, Sharkey.
Well, we didn't score. Was it till the 45th minute?
Yeah.
So I was. It was a great finish by Murphy. He just bent in the top corner. Yeah. To be fair, I was one of them that went in the concourse to go and buy something. They've all taken the moment and then
you missed this.
But I had to watch it on the TV, so
it was on my Twitter. I put the goal up.
But then, it was obviously
like Forde's tweeting now.
Yeah. I just think, it was
way too fucking hot in the air.
It was if and when we were going to score, wasn't it? It was if and when, and obviously we scored a bit later than we should have. But then
the floodgate opened.
And that's it. It was if and when Rotherham were going to collapse. And to be fair, it was a whole second half. They collapsed, and we could have got more than 4. To be honest, the amount of chances we had. The keeper just kept him in it, and he was just pulling off worldies, wasn't he? With the way you look at it. So,
Anthony,
guys.
For me, it was very important to see that kind of result and performance against.
We haven't seen it for a while, have we?
No. That was the big result since probably
Birmingham 4-0 at home. I would say so.
We've only had 3 of those games this season, haven't we?
Yeah,
3 real convincing games. QPR.
I think
6-0 away.
No, but not in that fashion.
Not in the fashion. It was like.
But QPR, Preston in the cup. We were there for that one. I think there've been a couple of other maybe just good performances, but especially with the rut we'd been going through. If it wasn't for the next game that we'll end up talking about, I think we could have really hit on to a
Carry on
bit.
talking, I'm just going to knock the heat off because I'm roasting.
I think we could have went on to a bit more of a run.
Yeah.
Because of course Oxford right after this, that we'll speak about that in a bit. But it would have been nice to have seen a good run. But that result was really important for me personally, because it was nice to see. Was Shelby back? I think Shelby was back for that one, but we still didn't have Gale.
Yeah.
So
Was that key having Shelby
That
back?
was Shelby's first game back, wasn't it?
I mean, that's
Yeah,
Shelby's proper game back. Yeah.
Yeah. Without getting too much into it, just that game alone just showed how much we needed Shelby, man.
Yeah.
Even the first goal, what was it? Just a quick long ball straight to Yedlin. Yeah.
Across to finish.
They just collapsed second half and they're really robbing
Yeah,
it. You
pretty
could
much.
tell they were bottom of the league and that they've been shipping in loads of goals. You could just tell.
The first time we played them, I thought they was a lot stronger.
Yeah, there was only
it was only 1-0, wasn't it?
And
Yeah.
Axel
Yeah.
Killer. You went
Yeah.
that game, weren't you, Forde?
Probably was there.
We had that one as well. We had that one.
Yeah. But it was a lot better in the first one.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's pretty easy, that one. Right, we're going to talk a little bit about Townsend and Barrow now. I think this will be a bit touchy because we're bringing. Try not to talk much about Rafa, what he come out and said, because we'll come at that in a minute. This is just about the Townsend deal, what was going on. So, from my understanding, it started off with paper talk at first, wasn't it? And then it seemed to be the Chronicle were picking up there's a little bit of interest in there, and Newcastle were going to put in a loan bid, and then there's some sort of argument whether because Palace still owed us money from buying Townsend last summer, like this 2-3 million fee they were arguing over, alleged, I have to say, arguing over this deal, and for whatever reason, some reasons it didn't come to another. Now I was in Tenerife when all the carry-on started happening towards the end of the transfer window. Was he going to play? Was he not going to play in this game against Bournemouth? I think it was. He was not in the squad. Then he was in the squad. Then one point during the deadline day he was going to come to the club. The other point, and he wasn't. He was in the matchday squad. He come off the bench, assisted Ben Teke with a header. What's your understanding of the Townsend, Sharkey, and what do you think we've missed out there, or do you think it's the board should have done a lot more? Do you think it's more of Palace's side of things, not playing ball either?
Well, like I say, the ball was always in Palace's court really, because they've got Townsend. We haven't. If we really want Townsend, knowing that we're going to try and get promoted, and Palace are trying to stay in the Premier League. They want a bit more than that we've sold them for. Would you agree?
I think the ball's in our court. If we really wanted him, we would sign him. If we really wanted Townsend, we would have signed him. They owe us money. Townsend wanted to come for what I believe.
Did he like a tweet as well?
He liked to tweet. He wasn't even in the squad really under Pardew. New manager coming up.
Why did he never go on and kick on and be that? Because he was our star man.
Yeah.
Him and Elliott last season were our two, way ahead of everybody.
Yeah. And
he went to Palace. You think, right, I'm going there. This is my England career, and it just didn't.
Because for me, a player like Townsend, he needs to be loved and nurtured. As you said, he was our star man because he was pretty much our only man. Him and Shelby, arguably in midfield. Wydad was kind of floating in and out of the team. Sissoko, don't even start with that one.
He had a connection with the fans, didn't he?
And he had a connection with the fans as well, but he was our star man. You could see all the time, a bit like what we do with Shelby now. We were just giving the ball, let him run on and drive at players. And at Crystal Palace, he wasn't the star man. It's more Zaha. So again, that's the reason why.
I was going to mention Zaha.
So Zaha starts for them, and he's their star player. He was the Townsend that what he was doing for us exactly. So that's the reason why it didn't really work for him at Palace. Obviously, Allardyce comes in. He's got his own plans. He's probably going to play every now and then, but not as much as he would play at Newcastle United. But just to go on your point, James, I think we had the opportunity to sign him, and it was in our court really.
Who blew it? Who blew it all?
I think it was about, and what I said about earlier, I think it was us who blew it.
As in the board? As in
the board, yeah. I think they seen it and said, okay, Palace want 15 million. We've just sold him less than 8 months ago, 7 months ago for
2-3 million.
Exactly, it doesn't make sense. And in my eyes, I'm no Mike Ashley, but it doesn't make sense because Palace could. No, I wouldn't have done it.
So if you've done 15 minus the 3, we'll add the 3 on 12. You're looking at 18 million.
I think we was pitching around 12. I think that would have been. I think that would have been right. Anything more than that, what's the point? He's not gone up in valuation, in my opinion. Yeah. He's probably stayed the same, if not gone down. So it makes sense. I'm no businessman, but again, it just makes sense. So I think we did the right choice. As much as he pays me to agree with Mike. Actually, I think it's the right decision to.
Got a question for you, Anthony. This is from Negative Styles with a Z on the end. Is there any chance of us getting Townsend in the summer? Do we revisit it?
Highly likely if they go down, because I imagine
Even if Palace stay up?
even if Palace stay up, then I think we'll definitely try to go for him, because Benitez obviously knows what he's all about.
Sort of way, yeah.
And we're well aware, and he pretty much slot right back into a team that he's already been part of. Because really, not a lot has changed.
But we can bargain more in the summer. We've got a longer window. January transfer window, as you know, is just 1 month. At least with the 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is in the summer, you've got more time to negotiate and all the rest of it now. So I think that will play a part in it. Hopefully, we'll be a Premier League side by then. So again, that will play a part in it as well. Crystal Palace might recruit and Allardyce might get his own player, so he would want to get Townsend out the door. At the moment, he needs to keep as many players as possible. So why would you, weaken your chances of staying up in the league at this point in time than to better us? And I don't think Allardyce is a fan of Newcastle United anyway. So why would he do
this is what I was going to say about. This is what I was going to say about Townsend joining Newcastle, because Sam Allardyce obviously didn't get on with the owner. He was, he left the club. And why is Sam Allardyce going to do us any favours and bring Townsend back? At the end of it, that's why I said it was up to Palace whether or not they were going to want to sell Townsend to us, because yes, as much as we want to try and go to that next step to get promoted, which we will. It's Palace want to stay up. Palace don't want to go down, and that's why obviously they've got Sam Allardyce. At the minute, it hasn't worked. You can obviously tell, reflecting the results. They got a battered 4 out of Sunderland. I mean, come on. But it's not just that. It's the player. It's the player himself. Townsend. Did he want to drop to the Championship? I mean,
I think he's worth. I think he would.
That's what I think he would.
I think his own career, because
then he would.
If you look at his career, there's
no England tournaments.
Yeah, but he's also bounced to various different clubs. He needs a club to stay at for at least a good 4 seasons.
Yeah.
He's been 7 or 8 already. Exactly. He needs a club like Newcastle United for fans to love him. Every player wants the same treatment that Shelby gets, and he would have got it here. So,
I mean, personally, I would want him back. I mean, I would have him back in the January, but then at the same time, obviously, whether we got him, whether we didn't, I kind of understand why it's not happened and why he's not here today. When you were hearing all these rumours that he was, he was at Bournemouth, and I was starting to doubt it as well, that it was gone, because you're talking 8, 9 o'clock at night, when the matches are still going on and stuff, and you've only got a couple of hours left of the week.
I'm not laughing at you, I'm just laughing at Donny. Hello Donny, if you're watching, Shamalam lad. Forde, get off your phone, he says. So, just a couple of questions that will come through as we'll just quickly run through. Is there any names in particular you guys have got for a winger in the summer? And would you keep Gouffran and Anita? And that's from Shamalam lad. Sharky, would you keep Gouffran and Anita?
I would keep Anita, but Gouffran's found his level. I think Gouffran's Championship at best.
Does you guys agree on that?
Yeah,
with Anita and Gouffran? Stay and go.
Gouffran's been. He was hot at the start of the season, but now he's just fallen away.
So, any wingers that spring your mind for summer?
There's not a lot to spring your mind, apart from Townsend.
We're going to come back to it.
I would have gone for Ince. I know it's not enough.
We could still revisit that in the summer, really, couldn't we? I mean,
well, again, that's another situation where a manager might say no, or.
We'll get Zaha, couldn't we? If Chris Palace go down.
I would have gone for Ince. We've
got Zaha, he's there, isn't he?
The big final says Pedro. That's never going to happen.
Pedro.
Never in a million years, right?
We're going to have to really invest over there.
Let's get him.
That's 21 million for a 28-year-old, right? So move on then.
Yeah. What we got next?
What we got next? We have Modou Barrow. We didn't touch on that. Modou Barrow, sorry. So for me, when we were linked to Modou Barrow, I was quite excited because I think having Atsu on the left and a carbon copy on the right is quite exciting. I personally think he's better at finishing than what Atsu is. With Barrow, he's both footed. He can come in, you can run on the right and run you directly. You can also cut on the left and shoot straight away. Kind of like a bad man's Townsend, if that makes sense. if it didn't, if you know what I'm trying to get at.
No, yes.
He's not a bad replacement. And when I seen him go to Leeds on loan, I was like, And I was thinking, and then I had to think about, were Newcastle really after him, or was it just the media again? Sharky?
Well, I could kind of see why he's chosen Leeds over Newcastle, because was that the media though? Oh yeah, I mean obviously I didn't think it was ever going to happen. Sorry, I didn't think it was ever going to happen. That Modou Barrow one.
Is that lead shot underneath there?
No, just so you know. Hold on. There you go. There's a badge. No, to be honest with you, I thought it was paper talk the Modou Barrow one. If I'm honest with you, I didn't think it was going to come off, as it's been proven. And obviously Leeds have got him for him, and they've got him, and it's Gary Monk, because Gary Monk was obviously at Swansea, and he's doing, he's obviously Leeds manager now, and he knows a bit about Barrow, and Barrow's probably thought, he was the ex-manager, I'm gonna, see what I can achieve at Leeds with Gary Monk, and you kind of don't fault him though, do you really?
Yeah, Darren shouting for Mertens and Shaqiri. That's not a bad shout, Mertens from Napoli.
Mertens would be good.
Just staying on the Barrow one then, do you think? Do you think it was more the media?
I think it was more the media. Definitely. I think people knew that Swansea wanted to loan him out.
Yeah.
And they thought, right, Premier League player wanting to get loaned out, Newcastle. Basically, because whenever somebody thinks Championship club this season, they think Newcastle. If you aren't a fan of Aston Villa or Norwich or whatever, I think people have been focused on us a lot, which has been a little.
So yeah, I think
when
people look at Newcastle, I think that's a Premier League side, not a Championship side. So
we
should be
like Premier League playing in the Championship.
Yeah, we can attract anybody from lower end Premier League, I would say, but I would say the Barrow one's definitely media linked.
Failing Townsend, I wouldn't mind.
Oh, I wouldn't be.
I'd have liked him, but I think.
Is he upgrade on Sammy Amiobi again? I would say yeah.
If we didn't get Townsend, I would have been very happy with Barrow. But I sort of see his point about Leeds being the better club. I'm not saying why he chose because he.
No, I think the reason he's gone is
wheelbarrow.
The reason he's gone to Leeds is obviously because of Gary Monk. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen Leeds. No disrespect to Leeds because they are a big club, but he wouldn't have chosen Leeds.
For me, he'd get more games.
Well, this is it.
Richie, Gouffran.
Yeah, that's right.
So even Perez, if you forced him in there.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think it's just a media link. I think he was on the list. We didn't just have Townsend on the list. Short list. So I think we just looked at him, weighed up our chances. We probably had more of a chance to sign Townsend at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously that didn't materialise, but I think he was on the list, but he wasn't a stronger link as obviously Townsend. But honestly, I think his brother Will was better.
Oh my god. Right, let me know what you think in the comments of Forde's jokes. Of course, wheelbarrow. Right. So we're going to turn to the FA Cup again, and again I was in Tenerife. I seem to be in Tenerife and all these. I am actually. Forget about the result for a minute because that was shocking. When I seen the lineup, I was shocked. When I seen Curtis Good in that lineup, I was like,
where did he come?
And I was like, Curtis Good starts for Newcastle. I never questioned Rafa, but this is the first time I looked and went, Rafa, what are you doing? They definitely put out a Premier League side last season. I'm trying to think it was because it was a couple upset. And when I seen Curtis Good, I was like, what? And obviously I seen the likes of Sells and everybody. I expect that. But when I seen Barlaser in there as well, and I seen Almani in there, I was like, we're gonna have, this is gonna be banana skin this. And obviously I didn't see the game because obviously you can't really get footage out in the Canaries. So obviously keep an eye on Chronicle and keep an eye on the newspaper reports. And obviously we had Score Centre and all that on the British TV over there. And then I seen the result coming in 1-0, 2-0. Mitrovic missed the penalty when it was 1-0, wasn't it? Or 1-0 at one point. That was key, I felt. I got put out by Oxford 3-0. And I'm like, and I'm swearing, but we're Newcastle United, you know what I mean? We shouldn't be, no matter what side we put out, we should not be getting beat off Oxford. I mean, what's Oxford famous for? University, that's all I would say. It's posh people, no offence, but it's well spoken people with degrees and shit like that.
It's not a football city.
Yeah, that's
full of posh.
Well, it's a rowing city, actually.
There we go. Anthony's the clever one of the group. I mean, for me, I love a cup run, and that was nailed on for Newcastle to progress for me, and that was something. It kind of reflects back to the whole game and the AFL.
Yeah.
So this is it.
And they were down to 10 men. We had half an hour to go and score, and we went out on penalties. That was an opportunity massively missed. I did a quick minute and a half video on the balcony, I was foaming. I wanted to throw my chairs out the window and everything, the balcony and everything. Because
I did throw my chair out the window.
did you? You threw your chair out the window. We'll come on to that in a minute then.
I was
Sharky, I mean, what do you feel about? Was that? I mean,
I hit the goal.
talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, obviously I only listened to the game on the radio, so I can only go by what the commentary. But it was like all Oxford, and I was getting pretty embarrassed. I was like, is he going to change his team or what? Because it was obviously 0-0 at half time, wasn't it? You always had a chance of trying to get a goal, and then when they scored, I'm thinking, oh yeah, we'll go again. Stephen it all over again from 2011, and then we went 2, and then obviously Mitrovic had the penalty, missed it to make it 1-1. What a glorious opportunity he had. And then
he got a lot of stick that game.
Well, it's all good having passion and that, but you've got to score goals, and especially against teams like Oxford. Oxford are what, League One, and it's at the end of the day. I mean, if I'm not being honest, we had. You look at Oxford, right, and you think, it should be a simple win, like you said, for Newcastle. A big club and stuff. And this was a great opportunity to get through.
Was he actually talking about boat race?
Darren's commented saying what Oxford famous for.
And it was the way Oxford won the pitch. They didn't fluke the 3-0 win. They didn't fluke a by chance, but they played as a team and they did the outdone. That's really good. We got outdone.
But I was mega pissed off.
But I mean, I was angry that night. I think I had to go outside for a good half an hour.
I was wearing my Toon shirt walking around, and I had like the Cockneys Hammer fans, fucking Mappy and all this sort of stuff. And it goes,
so angry.
Get that shirt off, like banter now. But it was like,
I
felt like that. It was like so frustrating. That was like, Anthony talk to me.
What I mean.
Incredibly frustrating, especially when I saw the formation, because the picture that I saw, the formation had Curtis Good as right midfield.
Right midfield? No,
that's what I thought. That's the initial thing that I saw was Curtis Good right midfield. I know he wasn't. It was stupid, but somebody had put like 4-4-2 and then forced Curtis Good in there just for the fun of it. Going into that game, I was really hopeful. I know it was an away fixture. I was hoping for a home fixture, to be honest. Against Oxford, I was really hoping, because I've been trying to go to every cup game.
No, I didn't, because I was in 10 because of my
you would have been disappointed. We should be beating. We should be beating a team like that. Definitely. Or
earn the respect as well.
Even a replay.
Well, this is it, because
losing 3-0. Even if we lost 1-0, okay, dogged performance by Oxford, sneaked a goal, and defensively they were strong, fair enough. But 3-0.
Nobody wanted the replay. I mean, to be honest with you, I would have happily. I know it's Oxford, but if we couldn't get we always tend to struggle, at lower grounds and stuff. These League 1, League 2 teams, but I would happily have took a replay to James's against Oxford, because I felt we all had a better chance. I know, it's more games in the schedule and whatnot, but then it would have been still a better chance of getting through, to the next round, 40.
Just going on your joke, you're getting a lot of stick. League final, Connor Headley, Samuel Amalad about your joke about Barrow.
That was a really bad performance.
That's
Donny, get him. Donny, right now.
Oh man.
Singer.
Right.
Donny, come up with something right now.
I think the highlight of that day was me getting on the plane. You guys seen it on Twitter? Getting on that plane. But I think that day I lost love for Mitrovic then. 3 chances to score, especially the penalty as well. Oh my god.
Your view, man. Your view in the stadium, man.
Yeah, but I feel for the fans who turn up, myself as well. It's a good, 4.5 hour journey down to Oxford.
Was that game too?
Yeah, it was at that game, mate. Yeah, I'm there. But
I wish you had kids and girlfriends and stuff.
What was the allocation? What how many? Do you know how many went?
I think it was a couple thousand, maybe.
Not being the biggest crowd, obviously.
1,800 or something like that.
And they've got a big massive car park next to them.
Yeah.
Is it back in the goal? They're missing it.
And they've got a fourth stand missing as well.
How many cars got smashed?
Probably all from our strikers also. But yeah, I was just gutted that game. Gutted more for the fans as well that turned up. As I said, 4.5 hour journey to watch that. Absolutely shocking, man. And now we're out of both cup competitions as well. I had high hopes.
Some people say that's a blessing in disguise, concentrating the league, isn't it?
Blessing in disguise, but we all had high hopes for that competition. Especially after doing so well in the last one. To get to the quarterfinals of the League Cup, we thought we would have done a lot better in the FA Cup. And I think it was something like 11 seasons. We haven't been in the 5th round for 11 seasons. That's how bad. Over a decade. That's how bad we are in FA Cups. And to go out in that manner.
to be honest, we blew it in both competitions really. When you think of the teams that we had, so your likes of Hull and the EFL, 1-0 up, and with what was it, about 5 minutes to go or something like that.
Stop destroying the set.
Shit happens.
Hull win the EFL Cup. 5 minutes to go. You're 1-0 up. Just defend or at least keep the lead. Oxford, no disrespect. These are teams that you should really be getting through against, and there was an opportunity for us to progress. And realistically, you might not.
18,000. Thank you, Jason.
I mean, realistically, we're probably not going to win the FA Cup or the League Cup, but then at the same time, you think, well, there's an opportunity. Which is promising.
Yeah, I was disappointing going from that. So coming back then, we had the midweek game. It was my first game back, and I was felt a bit groggy, flying, jet lagged. Huh?
Going to games rather than holidays.
I love your holidays.
I know.
I was doing holidays. I'll have another one this summer. So QPR, right? Perfect chance. Let's get back on track. Playing against a side lower end of the table. Yes, they run an okay performance. It was pretty awful to watch. I have to say, it was 2-2. Ended up drawing 2-2. Own goal by Kieran Clark. Was it his fault? Was it Darlow's fault? Who knows? Communication talk. That was awful. That was awful. I mean, there's bits and spells, don't get me wrong, that were good, but the majority of the time, QPR, especially second half, had a lot of the ball. And going away, was there?
Second half.
Going into the second half, they had pretty much majority of the ball, and you've got to say QPR deserved the point, to be honest with you. We hung on. We literally hung on, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said earlier on, didn't it? Was it 2 points dropped, or was it 1 point gained?
I don't know. You tell me, Sharkey.
I thought, to be honest, in my opinion, I was at the game and I thought it was 1 point earned because I just didn't think we were good enough. Personally, I mean, QPR, they had the better chances, throughout the game, and they had clear cut opportunities.
It's 2 points dropped from the first half. You can't take a lead after 30 seconds and then capitulate like we usually do. But it happens, we don't take charge of a lead, do we? We might go 1 or 2-0 up. And then we let them get back into the game.
We have a blitz aside, or we're struggling.
We're not getting this second goal.
No middle ground.
We're not getting the second goal to kill off the game.
No.
Question for you then.
Yeah.
After the next game, he brought on Lascelles to show out the win. Should he brought on a defender? Should he brought on Hanley?
Possibly, yeah.
Because this is the game where Lascelles was getting massive criticism of us, if I'm right in saying.
Yeah.
And he was very sluggish. He was kind of on his back all the time.
Well, he had a game plan. Even Holloway said it after the game. Holloway said it after the game. They was charging at Lascelles because he's not comfortable on the ball, and he kept making mistakes all the time. He wasn't going back to, just laying it off easily.
What do you make the atmosphere? Leeds just picked up the finals, picked that up.
On QPR.
Yeah,
quiet.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't want to be honest. I was pretty tired. I was pretty awful through the game.
I got killed for this on Twitter, but I said it was decent, the atmosphere, but only because I sit in the Gallagher end. So for me,
that's all
it sounds good.
That's all I heard.
That's all I heard.
You're on the right, the Gallagher arm on the left.
Exactly. So for us, all we hear is chanting all the time.
Yeah. But I was in the Leeds then, so obviously I could hear you all, and I could, but I mean, I was yours with that game, to be fair.
Yeah. So that's my justification for anyone who flipping had a shot at me. Just get out there. but yeah, for me, it's just no different because that's all I've known since I've been going to these games. Yeah. It's always chanting from the Gallagher end. I've never known it to be all around the stadium. Everyone's chanting. So
unless you the away fans at the top.
Yeah.
So question for you, Anthony. Lascelles, what do you make of him in that game?
On that game, terrible.
Was it coming? For me, it was coming. It was signs in the previous weeks.
Yeah, I think clubs have started to get his number a little bit. They've known precisely what to do because they've kind of gotten over the fact that there's not a lot they can do about Shelby. Because even if the man mark him, then all that does
seen against Rotherham.
You could. I think Preston tried it away from home. They did quite well.
Yeah.
Rotherham tried it, and eventually,
as I said, they've got to have the quality of player to do it. Can't just stick anyone on it.
Yeah.
A, they've got to be, tactically aware. B, they've got to have the patience. And
Rotherham were never going to. To be fair, Rotherham being bottom league were never going to keep up with Shelby. And that was to be proved in the second half.
If you stuck a Kante on him or something like that, then see you later.
Yeah, Kante.
I know.
A completely
a defensive
different
midfielder
quality.
who's going to follow you around everywhere and
just block you.
Exactly. Then it's good night Shelby, and then we've got to find another way to play.
I just thought, I thought Ian Holloway, just like Colin Scalwell for Sheffield Wednesday, he was tactically spot on. He knew how we were playing, and he just, he rang the changes. And this is a QP. At the end of the day, when QPR got that goal at the end with the own goal, that pretty much just summed up the game, didn't it? Really, and how he made his changes, and QPR went for it. And they had their opportunities to kill it.
So are we going to agree, disagree here? Is that a point gained? 2 points dropped. Forde, I'll start with you. We'll work our way back.
I'm always going to say 2 points drop. Pretty much every game that I preview and all the rest of it, I go for a Newcastle win. So I think it was 2 points dropped, especially the way we started as well. We took the lead twice, don't forget.
Straight away, great goal.
Exactly, took the lead twice. So 2 points definitely dropped, and against a team that we should beat.
2 points dropped for me. Not because QPR didn't deserve the draw. They played well enough for the draw. They were decent. But first of all, it was the own goal that obviously took the 2 points away from her.
That was a killer one.
And a very silly own goal from what we could see.
Both of them.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the first one, what was it? A corner came in, Bidwell strike. What's his name? Prodded the ball in Washington.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
So for me, 2 points dropped because really it was a bit of bad luck that cost her. Not that QPR didn't deserve the draw. It's just that
2 goals that could have been cut out easily, quite easily. Yeah.
Sharky?
Well, I'm going to stick with what I said. It's a point game because at the same time, yes, as much as you say it was 2 points dropped, if you look at the game as a whole, QPR had chances. We had chances. Like many of the games this season, we've got away with it most of the time, and this time we didn't get away with it, and we got severely punished. In the 90th minute when QPR, got that goal. Okay, it was an own goal, but they got it with what was it? We had 4 minutes of stoppage time. That just as the clock went, it was 90th minute they scored. So I mean,
signs of
yes,
signs of errors with Darlow as well.
It's
communication. Look at it, give me the evils.
Depends if he shouted or not.
I mean, all goes down to communication. At the end of the day, saying games out, taking your chances, and yes, we had chances to get to wrap up the game, and we didn't. And at the end of the day, it's our own fault. At the end of the day, it's our own fault.
Cool. I'm gonna say point gained. I think. It's 50-50, so it depends.
I'm not saying that.
So it depends on which side. Again, depends. Just going to quickly just change it because I've got a couple of questions fired in as well. Best summer signers, bar Gale and Richie for you guys. It's a tough one that in the table.
Sorry, who? Sorry, it was Gale, Richie.
Clark. Yeah, that was Clark.
Gale for me for the goals.
Except from Gale and Richie.
Oh, sorry,
Yedlin, good shout.
That's Yedlin.
I would say Clark.
Clark. Clark, because I didn't think he was going to get in the team, in all honesty. I didn't. I thought it was going to be obviously, who was it? Lascelles and Mbemba. Yeah, but then obviously Mbemba's been a bit in and out.
He hasn't been seen since Wolves, has he?
Yeah.
Quick question before we move on to the next one. Are we good enough to finish top of the league? I'm going to answer yes.
I think so.
Well, quality's there.
Yeah,
definitely.
Just about
right. We'll move on then. So after that draw in that press conference, Forde, were you at that press conference?
You were there.
Amazing when people have privileges.
There's a pattern starting to emerge, isn't there?
Privilege.
40 was there. 140 was there.
So Sky Sports were interviewing the company who I work for, by the way. That's my company. It's my company.
Were you there?
Were you there?
No, I wasn't there, unfortunately. I was there in spirit. I was doing the fan cams at that present moment. So basically, you come out and said,
I will not quit.
That was afterwards, wasn't it?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that was Derby.
That was the Derby.
Yeah,
this was like instant straight after. So he was asked about the match, he'd give his thoughts, and then he said, so it's been a busy week with transfers, one of the reporters was saying, and then he said, dead briefly, it wasn't my decision. Then that reporter then asked him back, what do you mean it's not your decision? He goes, it wasn't my decision to sign the players. And it was like, kind of, Rafa's like trying to get something out to us, but not let it.
It's like smoke signals, isn't it?
Basically, he was trying to tell us that.
He's trying to raise one eyebrow for yes.
He doesn't want to make it obvious. He doesn't want to make
it too obvious because he then played it down, didn't he, the week later? Yeah. So he's trying to say, look, I wanted these players, the board didn't do it. That's the way I've seen it. I goes, I wanted this player if they failed us. Would you go along the lines of that? What do you make of Rafa's?
He wants to keep.
Yeah, I would, because they didn't get him.
I mean, the thing is that as well at the same time, he wants to keep the fans motivated still. He wants to keep the fans on board, and he doesn't want to lie to the fans. But then he obviously
said, get behind the team.
Yeah, which is what he said, and he didn't want to make it obvious that we're listing them.
Quite obvious anyway. Some of the signings that we've made are not his players. Like you could tell. You know, like Hanley.
Murphy.
I don't think we wanted to sign Hanley originally. I think we wanted to go for Dunk. I think there was a link with Corker as well. I think those are the main two. But every manager's got that. You've got a short list of players. You don't always get number one on your list. So you might have to go to 2, 3, and 4. I think he wanted to sign Richie, Gale, but
Murphy would have been as I would have said.
no, Hanley, Murphy.
Who else would we get? Yeah. What'd you say? Yeah,
maybe. I think he was on the list, but I don't think he was number one. So it's one of those things. One of the key things, which we'll get onto obviously in a bit, he said compromise a lot in his press conferences, and I will not quit press conference, which says to me that obviously he has to play ball with Ashley. You know, he can't say he's not like a bratty kid and say I want this, and Ashley goes okay, I'll get it. He has to play the game and says okay, these are players I would like. This is what I would like to spend on.
So do you think he goes in with like 5 players? Right, this is what I want first.
Yeah. And he wants to get those 2 players or that 1 player at the top really badly. It's not like
So you don't feel like Rafa was let down, because I think he was.
I think he was let down, but at the same time,
I think he was politely saying I'm pissed off.
He's not let down massively because we've still got a good squad.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the whole team. You got to use all the players, and you look at all the players that we've got on board as well. You've got to use everybody.
It's not like it's not like in previous windows where when we sold Carroll in January and we got no one in, we had Cheick Tiote leaving the line. In my opinion, that's let down. You know what I mean? Just a bit. Sorry to any Cheick Tiote fans out there, but
finished Bosnian wherever he wants to.
Yeah.
Swansea deal with.
Huh?
No, Donny called the Shaka Hislop, didn't he? Yeah.
Great.
I was thinking he called him that.
But that's being let down, but not really in this window. Yeah, let down to a certain extent, but not majorly in this window, man. He's done well, you know, with the players that he's had available to him, and we've not been in too many situations where we've struggled.
Anthony?
I think he was very disappointed for a start, but the thing, we've had it with people like Mourinho as well. Just because they've had a bit of a gripe, that they're a little bit disappointed, and he was annoyed. Doesn't mean that, you know, I didn't get me way this time. Screw yous, I'm going. And I think the press really wanted to jump upon that.
Now, if you look at the club down the road, which Forde, I'm sure you cover that club as well. That red team down the road, that 35 miles away.
Yeah.
Karanka threw his toys out his pram. I don't know if any of you have seen that.
Yeah, I heard
about the back room.
He threw his toys out the complete opposites in the both Spanish, complete different opposite of personality. Whereas he was, I want this, I want that. The board aren't doing enough, but he didn't quite go on like that. But I mean,
I think
they caved into him and getting them players, and then
last season.
And Rafa was very calm, measured.
He's like that anyway.
Yeah, he is. He doesn't give too much away, but he did in the Liverpool days. He used to say a lot of his stuff in the press conference with arguments with Fergie and everything.
Would you not just say something like, say, for example, the reason Mike actually didn't want to give him any money, or because obviously, you know, Brighton are in touch with the likes of Redden started stringing up results. Just in case, I know that I'm not saying we're not going to get promoted because we are, but then you look at some of the teams like in 3rd and 4th and that are starting to, you know, we weren't picking up many points, but they were starting to show a bit more guts to try and catch her, and they were a bit sceptical just in case we didn't.
Do you think, like, the way the club is now, that, because we're still on the Rafa subject in a minute, so you think Rafa's got majority of the say, and then Graham Carr's he's sent on missions, or do you think he's got an input? Bobby Moncur does not get much mention, but he is part of that team as well. Although I know he's a club legend, he's well respected. And there's obviously Lee Charney, who's the middleman, and then I'm sure there's people who don't know on the board as well, like other people. And then there's obviously
lady.
And then the tea lady, yeah. And then there's obviously the big man, big fat Mike Ashley. So who's got? Is it all Rafa? Do you feel, or is it like 70% here, 20% there, 10% there? What's going on?
It's all a joint.
We'll come on to the youngsters that were signed in a moment at the end of the video. But what do you feel?
It's all a joint decision, isn't it? Really, do you not think it's got to go through?
Split? Or
it's got to go. It's got to.
I think it's more Rafa.
I think Rafa's obviously going to have a say, but then obviously there's always people in the background, and well, you know, should we, you know, but obviously realistically, obviously it should be Rafa, and I think Rafa will have a bigger say when we get promoted.
Do you think there'll be a summer meeting? And the transfers.
I think that's guaranteed.
Well, I think it's happening now already.
But he's probably already. Yeah. Rafa's probably already got a plan in his mind. You know, okay, if we get promoted, and assuming we keep all the players of the main first team, he's probably got people in mind, like Townsend. like maybe even Sigurdsson. You know, especially the teams that maybe going down or maybe hanging on, because as soon as he comes into the if he comes into the Premier League with her, which really hope will happen, it's just I don't really want to say one way or the other exactly. There's going to be a lot of momentum behind her, and a lot of players thinking to themselves that compared to say Swansea survive, compared to Swansea they'll think Newcastle could go places.
It's the reputation. Newcastle have Rafa Benitez, Newcastle United, the club. I would agree that
there's going to be a lot of momentum following us.
Newcastle would be a higher calibre of players than what Swansea, but yeah, I totally get that.
There's going to be a lot of hype coming up with us, so I think there's a meeting is guaranteed, and I think at very least Benitez has some kind of a plan in mind for what he wants his team to be like in the Premier League, because he said that in the Championship he's never been in a league that has so many different tactics and so many different strategies. Each team
he's learning as well.
Each team is a completely different team. Effectively, everybody plays a lot differently from one another.
Until his irritating son comes on, Graham Carr.
But in the Premier League, everybody more or less has a similar kind of style, at least apart from the odd exceptions.
Yeah.
So you'll have something in mind.
Cool. Forde, your thoughts on that?
What was talking about? There was talking about Rafa.
Is Rafa full in charge?
Percentages wise, I think it's Rafa. 60? Mike
70. I was pushed higher.
Yeah, but I think Mike Ashley's obviously still holds.
See, I don't think Mike Ashley has a massive say. I think he just wants to know what's going on inside.
Yeah.
A lot of fans. I'll say this. A lot of fans are going to disagree with me, but a lot of people say, "Oh, it's Fat Mike, he's back and all that." I don't think he's. I think he's just.
He's always been.
He's like. It's like he's looking down, just okay, right, Whereas they're making the people underneath him are making the decisions.
Yeah.
He's just overlooking it.
Yeah.
And I think it's like Rafa's got around 70%, and I think the others are just having it putting it
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah. And the reason why Mike actually probably didn't want to spend is because he's not a footballing out and out man, is he?
He's a Spurs fan, isn't he? Or Chelsea fan as
well. There you go. And then he's probably seen us like, oh, top two. Why do you need to go and spend that 30 million that we just brought in? Why do you need to do that? That's probably the reason why he was at the 2 games. You know what I mean? Had someone alongside him saying, well, he's not that decent. He can be sold on such and such. So that's probably the reasons why he was at the game. So
that's the thing. You don't want to make the same mistakes over and over and over again, and overspending. Which is what we've done in the past.
Well, we all know that January's the worst transfer window, isn't it?
Yeah. Just look at last year.
I mean, you got to remember as well, it's the owner's money as well. And
then again, we've got Townsend, Shelby. So
it's the owner's money, and it's up to him whether or not if he believes it's right to give, X and Y amounts to the manager to buy this and buy that. You know what I mean? So it's one of them, isn't it?
Cool. Right, we'll come on to a last match, and then we've got a couple of more stories afterwards. So the recent one on the weekend, Derby. The ill-fated return of Steve McLaren. There was loads going on. It was the food bank outside. I think was it 3 million tons of food or something crazy like that. And then we had the Gallagher flags that were back as well to try and get the atmosphere, because the atmosphere had been talked about as well. Steve McLaren's return. Anything I missed off before we get on the game?
Should talk about atmosphere as well.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the atmosphere first then, because obviously I was in the Gallagher and I'd done a lot of videos on just the fans, and it was one of the best, if not the best, I've heard the Gallagher all season. I can't think of someone that springs to mind other than the Norwich one, but I think
Gallagher's never the problem, is it?
It's not the Gallagher that's a problem. It's the other 3 stands.
Because this is
don't get me wrong, because other people sit in them stands are watching the video and goes, "Oh, well, we sing, yes." But we're talking how many people fit in the Gallagher? 15,000, you'd say.
Yeah.
And I would say at least half of them are singing.
Yeah.
So there's a good 7,500, I would say, that are singing. And then you've got little pockets of stadiums.
Level 7 do a little bit, don't they? A little bit.
Yeah.
Like next to the away fans, just to kind of like taunt them a little bit.
And I think next season, when the away fans, if we're in the Premier League, have to be sat pitch side, that it's going to make the atmosphere so much better around. Because it'll bring. So if you're singing your head off next to me, I won't like that. So I'll start singing louder than you. So that's what I mean. It'll make the ground.
Yeah,
so the atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. Let's just touch on the atmosphere first of all. What do you think of the Gallagher flag? Do you think they're a good initiative for the stadium?
Well, I love the idea, and to be honest with you, I know it's we should kind of do what Borussia Dortmund do and keep them out. I don't like the idea of like, yes,
I would like the idea of another giant wave
big
flag.
one.
not that, a bit like the wall. I don't like the idea of you have them, to cheer up the atmosphere when the players are coming out and stuff, then you get rid of them. I think you should be allowed to, if as part of the singing in the Gallagher, you should be allowed to keep them out and just cheer up the players a little bit, just to give we're a bit more, because we're a passionate club, we're a one city club, and we support the club till we die, and I think at the end of the day we need to show that right the way through the game.
So Anthony, what's the problem with the stadium?
There isn't one.
So noise wise,
For noise wise,
is it the platinum? Is it the way the kids are sat? Is it the way fans? See, I think the way end is a problem. When that comes down,
I think it can be, because it's going to give more people something to shout at.
Some people say standing. You say that's
safe standing is another good option,
I'm in favour of safe standing.
But where are you going to have that? I can only think the Gallagher.
That's our thought as well.
Or the lower lasers. Because you can't have them in the Milburn.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking more like, obviously, how you got the level 7 as well. I was thinking of like moving a lot of them because they've moved, you've got the family at the top.
Yeah.
Put them like down the bottom, and then put the people that didn't do anything, put them at the top,
It's going to cause upset because the away fans are going to have to come down and someone's going to have to go up.
That's what you call it.
I honestly think it'll be the kids, the family section.
This is what I'm thinking as well. No one's going to win.
No, you're not going to be happy, but it's going to happen. The atmosphere has to improve, and I think it's a good idea by the Premier League. Premier League don't always get everything right, but this is one thing that I do think some stadiums already have this in place.
Well, I'd hate to do that. If I was
in
away supporter, if I was an away supporter going to a big ground like that and being plonked all the way
up, way up, you can't see. It's like sensible soccer.
Well, we're going to put them behind the leaders. We're going to drop it behind the goal, or we're going to put them next season. They're going to put them behind the goal, but just so.
They've got to be pitch side somewhere.
So I heard that, or the East Stand. They were going to put
East Stand. I think it'll be East Stand. Sneezy score. That's what I think.
Yeah.
How would you guys feel about a drum?
Wigan Athletic away.
Well, I want clappers. I know that. Leicester need clappers to boost their atmosphere.
You've got that guy at Portsmouth, haven't you? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The long blonde.
No, he's called. I know he's called Johnny West, but he's got the big full-on hat thing. He's got the trumpet. Hey, we'll get a bit of music, get something going. Like a passionate fan, someone like that, someone that's going to jeer up the whole crowd.
But maybe a drum in the other side because Gallagher don't need it.
No.
But in the other side,
but around the other side, I think the other 3/4 of the ground needs.
Yeah.
Because with the Gallagher flag, it's great and it looks mint, it looks pretty, and it looks.
Pictures are amazing when you get them.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of pictures that were good.
See those pictures.
It needs to come round.
Yeah.
Do you know not just the Gallagher flag? It's the noise.
Initially, they need to get the organisers who've done a great job. They need to spread it around and maybe put like some of those organisers in pockets of the stadium, so there's 4 or 5 of them in each area. So
but they'll want to sit in the Gallagher.
I know, but if they're really passionate about getting the whole stadium going.
It depends on the team as well. It depends. I've looked at it. It depends on the team you're playing. Obviously, at the minute we're playing in the Championship. The team's not exactly brilliant, are they? But then you look in the Premier League as well. The atmosphere will change on the team that you're playing. So if you play like a team like Liverpool, for example, they're there where they can shout and sing, and because they're so high up. That's what gets the crowd going. So if we're playing like it takes.
If you look at QPR, we're playing on Wednesday. They
600 fans.
Hardly anything, and you've seen like, for example. Say Sheffield Wednesday, I know people
they're big clubs.
Yeah, people think I lick Sheffield Wednesday fans' arses, but they do sell out and they're so loud.
And that's what cheese everyone else up because you want to be better than them. You know what I mean?
The problem is that not every away fans are like that.
Well, this is it.
That's the problem.
I'm not being funny, but when you've got teams like Rotherham coming up, you've got.
But Rotherham sold out.
But then it depends. I don't think they were that loud.
The noise, I know.
I don't think they were that loud.
The noise is always going to be a problem on the ground. It's how you fix it.
Like you want a team like Tottenham. You want teams like Chelsea. You want all the big, the big, the ones that are actually going to make noise. Then we're to the point where we are going to be like, right, we are going to have to do something about this to try to be louder because it's not going to help when we're playing teams like that. You know what I mean? Like Rotherham, like.
Well, Darren's just commented there saying that standing brings all the noise because when you go to away matches,
you do anyway.
Away fans stand, don't they?
Like I say, I mean, at the start of the season, I was at the DW, and we stuck all the way through the game. And to be honest, I loved it. I loved how we're just singing all the songs, Rafa songs, that everything to do with the club, and everyone comes together. We're all chatting and singing away and whatnot, and it's a brilliant idea, and you should definitely try it. And it's not something that should be
Cool. Let's talk about the game then. I may as well ask you, Sharky. So we won 1-0. Again, it was a bit lackluster, I have to say. First 20 minutes we were great. And then Derby started to come on the count on the left flank was Johnny Russell getting a lot of the ball, him and Olsen linking up. I have to say, I'm going to put this out straight away. Paul Dummett had a worldie, absolute worldie. Man of the match in my eyes. Kept Tom Ince quiet.
I saw the tweets.
Yeah, Paul Dummett doesn't get enough praise for me, and he deserves the praise in that game. He was outstanding. Him and Yedlin, fullbacks, were absolutely brilliant. Derby, they should have at least got a point because they wasted a couple of chances, especially Ince, Anya, and Darren Bent at the very end.
Well, Ince's was obviously so clear cut, and then you look at Darren Bent as well. I mean, that was such a good time. Like Darren Bent was about to pull the trigger, when you think.
When Richie done the Hollywood.
Hollywood
6. Yeah. Why was he doing that? Across his own box.
I mean, obviously, I'm only going by what I've seen on the highlights because obviously I was unlucky not to go to the game, but I felt you're right, Lee. I think Derby deserved a point because I think they played really well in the second half. And you were saying in your last video you were going to leave winning, and you couldn't because at the end they were really pushing, and it's like panic stations, isn't it? Really, it's like in the last few games, it's like panic stations. It's like trying to see out the game, and obviously QPR didn't. Derby, it was a sense of relief.
Yeah, they got 3 points because it's a big side, isn't it? And you couldn't have Steve McLaren win at St James. You couldn't. We'd never hear the end of it.
But he struggled when he was here to win at St James.
So it's not new then, Anthony. Thoughts on the game? Lascelles dropped. Was that the right decision?
I think it was more to maybe keep him centred a bit. He's had a bit of a funny few games.
What do you do with Lascelles, and do you bring him back in next game, or do you keep him out?
Yeah, after the week out, after the week off, because of course QPR was midweek.
Yeah,
and then straight away Derby. So it was good. Personally, I would bring him straight back because he's the captain.
He's not
the only person that could be captain. He's not the only one, but he's
getting old, mate.
Wakey.
Yeah, mate.
We're nearly done, people.
I'd bring him straight back in. Maybe. I think the only issue I had really was Perez, because of course the QPR game.
Shocking Perez.
Awful. He didn't know when he was 1-on-1, and then it's straight out the keeper.
He's someone else.
Carson saves, and then the worst one was when he was 1-on-1 at the side, and then he's got 2 or 3 players to the left of him and plays this horrible high ball. It was just shocking.
I've seen that in the highlights.
Issue I had with that was Richie.
You wonder where you're going, mate, with that.
So obviously the first chance, Richie started a striker, someone who's meant to be a striker, 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he went for goal. So Richie bitches. I was not happy with Richie with that because he's 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. He's going to go for it. He should have done better.
Was Carson not just good on the day though? Because he did lost some class A's, to be honest, though, didn't he?
He was just good. But
tried to claim a penalty in the end. What was that about?
Well, this is it. When you're 1-0 down, it's with the atmosphere being a bit, I think Perez. He's for me. I don't know.
He's been awful this season.
I don't think he's the one for this club. I don't want to sound really horrible when I say that. Next season, I think he'd be the one that will cash in as well.
Potentially,
do you know what I mean? He's had his chances, and you'd think in the championship that he would have found his level. And he's
so whilst we were sitting in the freezing cold, there's a bloke over there who was sitting with some footballers, weren't you?
Yeah, I was corporate hospitality in this game, and sitting on the table with John Beresford.
Who paid for that?
But yeah, it was good to kind of see it from that point of view, because I've seen it through, obviously, in the Gallagher ends, see it through the press. So hospitality.
What's it like there?
It's quiet, man. It's good to kind of see what the Gallagher end is about, because obviously when you're in it, it's in around you.
Yeah.
When you're watching it and you're seeing all the fans and the flags going mental, it's a great sight.
But you were like, I want to get in there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, that's what I think when I'm in the leagues then. I think, what am I doing over here? It's so quiet.
Too quiet.
QPR as well. That's why I got so yawny in the game. I think, there's nothing.
Yeah, but I'm surprised why you guys failed to mention about Mo Diame's performance. Absolutely.
Well, to be fair, I wasn't at that game, so I'll leave it there.
I mean, I know everyone said that Dom had a good game, had a good game. Diame, some of the flicks he was doing,
wouldn't you be a bit sharp though? The acting combination, Geordie Jedi, quite sharp when he's got a few games as well.
Yeah, he was quite. He looked quite refreshed, and he had a hand in the goal as well. Yeah. He looks amazing in that game, and that's going back to when he was playing against Wigan.
And he showed his potential at the right time, because obviously we're coming now towards the end of the season.
He needs to.
Yeah, we need him to start doing what he did for Hull. Obviously you've got, do you know what I mean? Sorry. Yeah, when I look at Mo Diame now, he's starting to pick up his form, and I think.
That's criticism. Hey, Gabrielle. Hello, are you... No, I'll say it in a sexy voice. This woman's commented and went, hello, are you interested in nail styling and nail accessories? Check my YouTube channel. And if you like, click, subscribe, and like. Thank you very much.
Ciao.
I wonder if that's a copy and paste job.
Just a bit.
Sorry, carry on.
What was in?
Shout out to Gabrielle.
Gabriel. You say Modou Barrow is probably. Obviously, I can't just go by one game, but from what I've seen in the Derby game, he's picking up form at the right time. We'll come towards the latter end of the business end of the season, where obviously at the start he wasn't doing it, and we need him to start showing his potential. For what he did at Hull, because he got Hull promoted, didn't he? And he got
that mini run against, what was it, Wigan and then Burton. Those 2 games. Those are the 2 games. Yeah.
And we didn't want him to go to Africa.
Yeah. And he needs to come back to that now as well. And if it's a choice out of Diame and Perez for that number 10 role, I'm picking Diame, hands down.
I mean, I was excited when we signed Diame. I'm not gonna lie, I was excited. I didn't think he was gonna drop back down to Newcastle because he just got Hull promoted, and Hull were, they need all the best players, don't they? I didn't think they were gonna sell, and they did.
Yeah.
But I was quite excited, and obviously at the start he was a bit off, and then obviously when you see the Burton game, he picked up, and then he's obviously gone off to Africa, and he's come back, and hopefully this is the best. We're gonna see the best of Diame, and hopefully he's gonna do it in the business end of the season.
If Diame keeps up this kind of form, him and Shelvey and Gale are going to be very interesting, because that's the only problem really that maybe 10. Gale's had, is that he hasn't quite had the right number 10 that we've been looking for.
Yeah.
He's been able to do what he does brilliantly with just Shelvey, and of course Rich, and with a little bit of help with the star people working together with Shelvey and Gale. So to have a proper number 10 with Gale working together, I think that'll be brilliant.
I think with Diame, it's gonna be hit and miss. I think it's gonna be spells where we're going to be frustrated with him, and then he's going to have that little bit of run, and then it's going to be back down again. We'll have to see. We've got a couple more stories to get through. Well, a couple more things to get through. If you want to start getting your questions in, start firing them in. We're going to move on to, we'll sign Victor Fernandez. You guys probably, judging by your eyes, are like, who?
Yeah, I am a bit.
We've also signed out. We may as well talk about Tyreek Bartlett and what's the other one called again? That's it, Juanito, who's been pictured around Newcastle. So we've signed 3 youngsters. Not a vast amount of knowledge around them. We've seen a couple of highlights. I mean, Forde, we've seen Victor Fernandez.
See it on your YouTube channel.
A couple of obviously worldies against Barcelona displays. Sorry. So we've got 3 youngsters now. Victor Fernandez is officially Newcastle player because he played in the under-23s. So that was a competitive game. So that's official. The other 2 are sort of like forever waiting on international clearance, aren't we? But we've got these 3 youngsters again. I'm going to touch back to this. Who's signing these players? Is this the board? Because I don't think this is Rafa's. Yes,
no.
Rafa might have picked up Victor Fernandez, but because of the Spanish connection. But who are signing these young players?
Beasley.
Do you think he's got a say? Do you think Beasley's got a say in the transfer policy?
Graham Carr, obviously. I mean,
I think it's more Graham Carr.
You know what Mike Ashley's like. You buy these players on the cheap, and hopefully that they produce them, and then you can sell them on for like say 10 to 50 million quid.
See, I think it's like Graham Carr's been sent by Rafa to have a look around Spain.
Yeah.
Have a look and see what's around there. Pick up and come back to me and so on and so on.
Because bearing in mind, Rafa Benitez I think he's got his own app or something like that, a scouting app. So he is heavily involved in scouting. So yeah, I think he did have a hand in this, but obviously it's up to the likes of Beardsley and other coaches as well at the club to nurture these players and see what we can get out of them. Really, I mean, Fernandez looks good. Judging by the goals that we've seen, he looks all right.
Yeah.
Tyreek Bartlett, son of Sean Bartlett, who used to play for Charlton. If he's anything like his dad, he's got a half decent player on our hands. I haven't seen that much of Juanito at all, so I couldn't really comment on him.
Is this the modern football now where clubs are going abroad to bring in youngsters, similar to what Arsenal do, rather than bringing through their own?
I think we have to, really.
Because if you look at the players at Newcastle, we'll go back to the FA Cup, there's only Dan Barlaser who's actually local.
I think we have to, because, as we said before, who's the last player to really take a claim in our first team who's local? Paul Dummett. And that's still going back, 4 or 5 years?
He can't get a kick.
No, he's not.
He's got Turkish heritage, but he actually lives in Runskill.
Oh, okay, fair.
So, again, we have to, and you know what, we've got to explore all options anyway. If there's a talented Spanish player over there, we're still going to take him, aren't we? Yeah. Regardless. It would be nice to have someone from Fenham or Jesmond and whatnot, but it's what it is. We want talented players in black and white, regardless of where they're from.
Take the risk of it.
Well, we'll want to see homegrown players, obviously. Well,
Yeah.
you know, the Shivas, everyone like that. But if they're not good enough, they're not good enough. And we can't expect the club to hold. Hey, Kitty. Can't expect the club to hold on to desperately trying to get homegrown talent if there's better talent elsewhere and we can get them. It's a shame there's that there hasn't been anybody in a while that we've really gotten excited on over homegrown talent with. But if they're not good enough, they're not good enough. I don't like to think that way. I'd like to think Newcastle being a big footballing city, that the youngsters are sort of getting trained the right way at a very young age. If they're going for it. Cat's trying to sabotage.
Sorry. Yeah, my cat's come in the room. Get out! Get out! Down! Get down!
He tries to go down the other. Ooh.
Good. I'm also recording that from my mobile as well. So if you think this footage is lagging or anything or it's bad quality, there'll be a proper video on my mobile, which a cat has just nearly knocked over. Thankfully, it hasn't.
Nearly went the other way as well.
So I would have had to got up.
It's heard about youngsters, so it's probably one of.
That cat's been on camera a couple of times.
Yeah, she's quite famous, my cat. Small pussy on camera and everything. Right.
Yeah.
So, well, we're coming towards the final article. If you want to start getting your questions in, start filing them in, and we'll answer them before we finish up. So we're going to be talking about. It's just literally. Well, it's going to happen tomorrow, really officially. Cheick Tiote is now more or less off the books. I'm expecting us all to say that he's a glad. Obviously, he's been. The past 18 months he's been having transfers to Turkey, to China, to Spain. God knows where. He's had about 3 or 4 that are broken down. What do you feel about Cheick Tiote's history at the club? I know he's going to be remembered for the Arsenal goal and when he goes wild with 4-0 down when he gets that goal. But I think for me personally, I think the first year he had an outstanding debut season and then he hasn't been the same player, whether it's been injuries, bit part player, coming out of form, demanding transfers. What's your thoughts on Cheick Tiote and what his legacy is at the club? Sharky?
Don't want to sound horrible, but I don't think he's got a future at the club.
He hasn't now.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, to be honest with you, I think he should have went a couple of seasons ago, if I'm honest with you. I mean, even Forde didn't really play that much, did he?
He did at the beginning. He played quite a bit in that 11-12 season.
Is that where we finished 5th?
And we finished 5th. He played.
I thought he should have went.
Played quite a bit.
We should have cashed in. I mean, how much were we paid?
Well, there was rumours that Chelsea were going to come in for like a stupid bit of 22 million or something, wasn't it?
Arsenal, wasn't it?
Well, so one of them. It was one of them, yeah.
I think it was the season. It might have been the season where he finished 5th, but I think he got caught up in the hype when he was alongside Kabay.
Yeah.
And that's the season, as I said, we should have cashed in then. But after,
easy to say that in hindsight. Though.
Yeah,
well, that's if we don't, because we're the champion now.
Yeah, but since then he's had his head turned, and then obviously we had steady decline, and then after that his head's not been in it really. He's been injured a lot of the time, and I use that term loosely, and then after that, that's it really.
I'm just shocked that he
trouble with the law was another one.
Well, I'm still shocked he's still at the club. Know that when we got relegated, that he didn't just jump ship then, because if you're one of the big names,
China,
and obviously let's say only teams like Tottenham, and all these will go out for Sissoko and pay over the odds, because a lot of the clubs go, Tiote hasn't done a great deal in the Premier League. Well, we're not really going to want to pay over the odds.
Why did China want Tiote?
Well, they want everyone. China, they don't.
They want to expand their league, don't they? So they need. It's similar to how the American league started up.
But Tiote is not a big.
Yeah, but he's a name from overseas that he's bigger than any of the names over there.
Yeah. Going back to the 4-4, he the way the way we came back from 4-0 down to 4-4, the way he ran and everyone was celebrating, and he made an name for himself then, didn't he?
It's more so like I said with the American league, when they first started up, they had to get Beckham in to get people to watch.
Yeah.
They've done that so far with some of the names that they've got over there, so they're going to continue to grab names, whatever names they can get.
And stuff.
Yeah, whatever names they can get from overseas to get eyes over there, because they've got money over there, and some players are just hungry for money over there, so they'll just go over there regardless. But I think he's going to be playing in.
What's his legacy though?
His legacy, it's just that goal, really, isn't it?
One season wonder.
It is really, isn't it? He's had that one season alongside Kabay, scored that one goal against Arsenal. all the yellow cards.
Yeah, when him and Colback played together.
Man
Goal
City,
the Europa League as
disallowed
well.
goal.
I was there for that. It was
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
I mean, as well, obviously, when we finished 5th as well, obviously, what would have kept him on as well, the Europa League as well, the fact that we've got European football as well, so you'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, well, we've got a good chance of, of progressing, which we did against, to the point of Benfica, where we were a bit unlucky to go out, but then...
He'll be annoyed with himself, really, because he's wasted a good 2 or 3 years.
Well,
of
as well as
his
It's been
career.
6 years, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been there 6.5 years, but he's wasted at least 2 or 3 of them. And
Yeah.
it's prime as well. If he would have gone on to like an Arsenal, and Arsenal could have done with him at that time, then he would have been laughing. But I don't know, something wasn't right there. He didn't want to play for a little bit. He was injured for a bit, so he's kind of done it to himself, though. But he will be remembered for that one goal. So
Would you agree with that, Anthony?
Yeah, very much. I mean, even today on Twitter, when I saw something, Cheick Tiote is gone. First thing that came up was the goal.
Yeah, because that's what he's remembered for.
That's
isn't
just what he'll be remembered for. Don't get me wrong, it was an amazing moment.
It's like Shola Miobi, what's he remembered for?
Against
Stella,
Sunderland,
Stella.
just doing it, because apart from that, he doesn't do anything else.
So certain players have that
So-
tag with them.
He's joined Beijing Enterprises.
yeah,
I think he was originally.
League
I
One
think.
club.
Yeah, they're the below.
Yeah.
So he's gone.
That's why he's
He's gone
went
from
there.
championship to championship, basically.
But I think he was offered the same club that I think
Shandong,
Cisse went to.
Yeah,
A couple of other fair-sized names, but I don't think he's where like.
Whether he's
Hulk and
if he
Oscar
went
went
anywhere in
to.
Europe, he would have got his wages would have dropped.
Yeah.
Because obviously he didn't go to Sporting Gion because he would have had a sacrifice. Although the quality is so much bigger. But yeah, so all agree to his legacy is the Arsenal goal in his first season wonder.
That's it.
Is that
Right.
that point that you
We'll start finishing off. We've got a couple of questions before, unless you want to start getting any questions, fire them in. A couple of questions that have come through. I didn't actually see this game, but did any of you see the Sunderland Newcastle 4-3 under 18s game?
No, I went to one beforehand. I think you went to that one.
Is that the one that was
Swansea.
free at the
Yeah,
Cup?
yeah, the Swansea one. Yeah, and it was
So 3-2 down, I believe, against Sunderland.
Yeah, and they went on to win it.
4-3.
I saw the updates on Twitter.
Well, I mean, the minute that because obviously I've been obviously I've been the under 18s and the reserves and stuff, and I've been down at Sunderland before when we played them, and it was actually at the stadium. I think it would have been. I would have went if it had been down at Sunderland, at the stadium, but because it was somewhere where I had no idea where it was, I didn't go in the end, and I had the day off as well. I thought, I wish they had it at the stadium because it would have been better atmosphere. And I remember going a couple of seasons back, and we had something like we had like something like 600 fans or something, whatever that went. I don't know how many went, but it was a few. And Sunderland didn't, for being at home, they didn't have anybody.
Cool. Another question from Kane. Actually, question Kane. This might cause a few debates. The 17th minute clap. Right.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer for this, I don't feel.
No, not really.
So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer for it. The 17th minute clap, I think, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't clapped for about 3 games now. Despite a lot of people I knew who Mark Park, who passed away. I don't know if you guys seen the banner on the other end of Gallagher. I know a lot of people, about 20, 25 people affected by it. So I did encourage that, and I did get behind that, just because the fact I thought it was a nice gesture because of the family. But just touching back to the 17th minute clap, I mean, first of all, it's been going on for 2 years now?
Yeah.
Is it time to stop? That's the question that we've been asked, Sharkey.
It's never come across my mind, to be honest with you, because I've been so used to it happening now in the 17th minute. It's just remembering those fans who they especially them
They were proper fans, weren't they?
that's it. They were diehard fans. They would travel away. They'll go the lengths and depths of around the globe to go and follow Newcastle. And I think for a minute it's only right, in my opinion, that will clap.
So you keep going.
Yeah, well that's it. Well, I do every game, and I think it's only right. And to be honest with you, it's not something I would stop doing. I would do it as long as I go to the club. Go and support the club.
Anthony, what's your opinion on it?
Well, personally, I think it should stop. I agreed with it for the first year. I thought it was perfectly reasonable, even when it continued a bit after. That was fine. Issue I have with is that I don't want to belittle them, but I suppose there's been other Newcastle United supporters that have died, including the one that just happened. There's not been as big a deal about the one that's just happened.
I think it's because the 17th minute one was injustice, wasn't it? It was like a terrorist attack.
Oh yeah, but it's happened a fair bit ago. As I say, there've been other supporters that have died. It's difficult without, I suppose, in a sense, sound like a dick.
No, there's no right answer for it.
I know, but it's you really don't want to belittle their lives. But there also comes a point when there's also people who are going to start, instead of just clapping, it's half-hearted. You know,
you have to.
They just go along with it, and it's not
not
the same reasoning behind it.
I agree with what you say, because otherwise, people will start clapping for everything. Really, as you said, there's other people that have been Newcastle United fans that have passed away, and I've noticed, like on Facebook and Twitter, people say, "Oh, why are we still clapping about this for?" And I think it's each to their own, really. If it was one of your family members, you'd want to keep it going for as long as possible. Yeah. I think maybe it should be done maybe on their anniversary of their passing, and then keep it like that.
Or even something like do it at half time. It's really difficult. It's a touchy subject, because obviously I knew a lot of people who knew Mark, and I can get that. And I know the other side of the fence, where it was Alan who was with me. No disrespect to Alan, he didn't care. Whereas I did, because I knew a lot of people who knew Mark. So I think it depends where you say. I'd say the 70th minute I sound like a hypocrite saying we should stop it, because even though I just clapped for Mark, but it's like a personal thing. Whereas the 70th minute, majority of the crowd, probably 99%, it's not personal to them no more.
Each to their own, because you're not going to stop 52,000 fans from stopping clapping, are you? But as you said, it's a good question to ask. Should it keep on going?
Well, what about Darren? Darren just put out a great little spot there. He just put out the question there. Instead of doing clapping, maybe why don't you do flags for the lads instead of the Gallagher flags?
It's a better option.
That's a great point, because he's just put out there, should have a flag for the lad Mark who's just passed, and maybe it's like John Aldan and Sweeney.
But you could do something else to
Didn't they have a
remember
band,
them.
The Gallagher flag maybe have their faces on or something.
Yeah.
Something like, or flag to the road.
It goes back to the point of like keeping the flags out during the game as well.
I don't think you're allowed to.
That's what I just think it's like a bit like what Borussia Dortmund and all that kind of stuff.
I think you've got to stop
that's
rules.
But that's it. That's what kills most of the atmosphere sometimes.
There should be something, because even